Some celebration of El Eid Fitr. Hopefully, I pronounced that right. And I know at least one of our board member, our chair, our new chair of social services will be celebrating this Friday, right? Chair Montserrat. All right. So, blessings to everyone, to whatever you celebrate. And if you don't celebrate anything, I hope you celebrate yourself, at least that. So celebrate something or someone. God bless. So, unfortunately, well, I started off with that. So the second announcement is not a good note. We're chair of rezoning and bylaws at the beginning part of this month. She lost her father. I know that many of us have reached out to Chair James to follow up and offer up our thoughts of condolences to her and her family during this time. She will not be here today, as my understanding that she's still dealing with some issues as it pertains to her family and the past. And so our hearts go out. I have to think about that when you have multiple words that go out to her as well. I've reached out to our district manager to update us on the vacation of all of the staff. Please note that each staff member is granted a certain amount of time per year. And I am saying it publicly that the staff must take their vacation, because I, Mr. Daly, will not be putting forward payments to the staff if they don't take their vacation. So if they plan to carry it over, please don't do so, because you will not be paid. I'm saying it out loud. All right, so just make sure everybody knows that, because we don't want to be stuck. I know some of it can be carried over. I'm not saying that. I'm saying all. Don't look at me like that, Ms. Grandis. I'm not saying you have to take all of your vacation days, but you need to take most of them. Good job. You do work for me, the chair of youth and education. It was brought to me by the bar president's office that we need to instill that, and whoever is the chair needs to understand that they're responsible for that. And the budget is finite, and whatever is owed is taken away from the budget, and we don't have no money to begin with. So if anybody works in school, you know what that looks like. All right, but they start cutting programs. We don't want to cut that because we don't have enough already. On this Saturday, 3 days from today, I know the notice went out erroneously because we're talking, I think either the date or the day was there was a mix-up. But it's on Saturday, the 22nd. Inspector Salibra and I will be standing. I know it says walk through. I used the wrong word, so I can't blame the district manager for that. We'll be standing at specific areas within our community to do a joint effort between the community board and the police to ensure that we understand working together for safety within our community. There's so many shootings going on and stabbings within our community, and we need to stand together, because I have to be honest with you, let you know that policing is not done by the police. It's done, they follow the law. We have to ensure that they have the opportunity to follow the law. So we have to show that we are working together to make things happen. So that's this Saturday, and we're going to start Avenue B and Remsen. Avenue B and Remsen is where we're going to start. And then 12 o'clock is the start time, and we're going to be doing different locations from 12 to 3. So we're going to go to Avenue B, then we're going to go to East 54th and Church, Schenectady and Clarkson. I think one of Our community members did bring that to our attention, so we're gonna go over there. We're going to Nostrand Church, and I would love to throw in where they're doing the black cleanup. So if I could get that, we're gonna go over there, what's the East 25th and Snyder, so we're gonna go over there as well. There was an MWBE workshop on April 10th at Brooklyn College. Treasurer Lewis will give some report more, but I want to let you know that the building is going up. The construction will start, in case you don't know what I'm talking about. The rec center will be going up starting June 25 of this year. There's $40 million set aside for minority-owned businesses, minority women, Black enterprise. So if you're interested, you own a business, somebody who owns a business within our community or the like, would like to extend an offer for them to be $40 million is set aside of the 141. That doesn't mean that you cannot get part of the 141 if you didn't get part of the 41, if that makes sense, right? So there's two parts. You might get lucky on one and not on the other, or you might get lucky, period, right? So whatever it is, there are many things there, so you can get a list of things that are happening. This month is Sexual Abuse Awareness Month. I just want to make sure I point out a couple of things. We will have a speaker tonight on that topic as well, but I just want to point out things of importance. One, many of us in this room look at girls. We have to also start looking at boys, because a lot of boys are getting the same way because we're expecting it only to happen to girls. So I want to make sure that we look out for our sons and our daughters. The second point is that it's rare, not that it doesn't happen, but it's very rare when the perpetrator is not somebody who the child is familiar with. Okay, so I just want to make sure the second point that I want to point out, not that the child doesn't get, I'm not saying that those things don't happen, but we let our guards down, people closest to us, and they're the ones who are doing it. So one thing I will tell you, boys or girls, they should not be sitting in anybody else's lap. You should make sure that they know that, right? That's very important. Two, that nobody should be touching them inappropriately. If they feel uncomfortable, they need to say something. Three, and I see this happen all the time, Caribbean parents especially, you like to say that the child is not telling the truth. Okay? Believe your child, investigate first before you get to that point. All right? Just as a side note, the DOE has reported 61% increase in sexual misconduct since COVID. All right. The city has returned with a proposal about the car share. They have offered to give us 22 spaces, which is less than the 34 that they had previously offered, and they have changed some of the locations. Last month or early this month, I don't remember exactly when, we made a visit to the Rugby Library, Chair Grandison and myself. Please utilize it. When they come up, they can talk about some of the things that they offer, but the Rugby Library is awesome, looks good, between Tilden and Snyder. They have space for people to utilize as well. Our secretary will be out of commission until September, starting next month. So we're looking for somebody to step in as the role of secretary. So if you are interested, you can raise your hand, see me, or send me an email. Ms. Frazier and I did a walkthrough today with several agencies. She'll give an update on Farragut and Utica. As a matter of fact, if you were to drive by right by the train tracks, you see a major difference in terms of what it looks like. Term limit, I've mentioned this before. If you're on the board, there's a term limit starting in 2029. So anybody who has served 8 years prior to that, you will not be on the board that next cycle, but you can be reappointed later on, but not in that cycle. I would like to personally congratulate all of the committees on all the things that they've been doing. I've been to a few events, unfortunately not been to all. So we're doing a lot of things to make sure that the board is visible and moving as our motto is moving the community forward. So doing a lot of that. So congratulations to them. Children through middle school next week will be getting their results back. I mean, they're taking a test this week. So please make sure parents that they're in bed early and prepared, especially from 3 to 8. They'll be taking the ELA starting today and tomorrow. Lastly, I just want to, just by show of hands, any individuals who are here for the first time, please raise your hand. If you're here for the first time, everybody else, please give them a nice shout out and welcome to Community Board 17. That being said, that concludes my report, and then now turn over to our district manager for her report.
Good evening, everyone. My goodness, are you happy to be here? Good evening, everyone. That's so much better. Oh, who said that? Thank you all for sharing this evening with us. It's very important that we keep you updated with some of the things that's happening in the community. We cannot update you on everything. If not, we would never step out of this auditorium. Alert, 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 alert. Meetings are scheduled by MTA to discuss the Brooklyn Bus Network redesign. That's a fancy name for rerouting our buses and removing our bus stops. Alert, alert, for those of us who, I use the bus, for those of us who use the buses to travel from point A to point B, please note, you need to attend the scheduled public outreach meetings. Bus stops will be removed, and the stops between buses will be resized. There are 2 meetings scheduled for this district on Tuesday, April the 25th at 6 p.m. at Flatbush Avenue, Brooklyn College Subway Station. And the next meeting is scheduled for April 26th at 6 p.m. at the Church Avenue Subway Station. They would like to hear our concerns. I'm going to be there advocating because they're removing the B6 bus and have the B6 bus run all the way down Avenue H. That will affect 2 schools right there in our district, so close to the bus stop. So April 25th at 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. at Flatbush Avenue, Brooklyn College Subway Station, and Wednesday, April 26th at 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. at the Church Avenue Subway Station. So if you use the bus, that's a great time for you to get out there. They do have printouts of the buses that are going to be removed and the stops that are going to be resized. Some stops are going to be extremely long. We may have to walk maybe another block or 2 to get to the bus stops. So you have an opportunity to voice your concerns. At this month's Borough Service Cabinet meeting, there was a focus on flooding issues. There was
I think both of them are on.
okay. Oops, sorry. Yes, there was a focus on flooding issues in the community, and we do have a major problem on Snyder between East 58th and East 59th Street, which was submitted to Borough Hall. DEP actually did an inspection and it was referred to DOT. There seems to be some problem with the leveling of the street, and I will keep the community updated. If you have any flooding complaints, you have any complaints, please remember to submit to us. Call the board's office at 718-434-3072. I also have a district service cabinet meeting scheduled for April 26th at 10 a.m. Call your complaints in. I will bring it to the attention of the agencies at that time. We are also working on our capital and expense budget requests. Residents, use your voices. Please use your voice and speak up. Submit your requests. If you would like to see a park reconstructed, any kind of capital project, or any issues in the community, please call it into us because we use that opportunity to submit our request for resources to the agencies and to the city. Okay, so call in your complaints, let us know what's happening so that we could also be a voice on your behalf. And finally, we have a sore eye in the community at the intersection of Farragut Road and Utica Avenue. The chairperson mentioned it in his report. It's an old car wash that has been closed for the past 10 years, right there at the corner of Farragut and Utica. You cannot miss this location. For the past 10 years, we have been working. I know the council member tried to clean up that area. And as soon, if it's cleaned today, by tomorrow, the cars are parked, burned vehicles, dumping. It's a fire hazard. And the mechanics within the immediate area utilize the space in front of the building for parking. The building is presently sealed. Yeah, you could start. The building is presently sealed, and we were informed by the Department of Finance that taxes are paid up to date. So myself and the chair, along with the fire department, sanitation, and the buildings department, I believe one of the buildings employee, I saw him come in.
Vladimir, yeah.
There you are. And you were so gracious. He attended both inspections. We were out there on April 19th at 10 a.m. And we strategized at that time how to move forward with the cleanup. In the interim, sanitation visited the property. If you look at the pictures, you'll see some before and after pictures. Sanitation visited the property and conducted a cleanup. And the picture shows you the before and after. During our inspection, it appears a campfire was started against the retaining wall on the building. And our inspection today, we discussed the possibility of fencing the property, how it can be done, and bill the owner. We talked about tickets. How many tickets can be issued before a car can be towed because there are cars parked on the sidewalk? It obstructs pedestrians, especially moms with strollers, from walking on the sidewalk. How could we get MTA to clean and keep their area clean? We also talked about how we can get the owner to stand some of the expenses. So that's something that we are going to further discuss. In 2 weeks, the fire department and the buildings department will schedule an inspection for inside of the building. We're going to request entry to the building so that they can inspect the inside of the building to determine the stability of the walls and other possible violations that exist. So that's where we are. We remain hopeful. We could clean up this location. There are thriving businesses right across the street. There's a business there. And our quality of life deteriorates when this happens in our community. So when you see it, please call the board's office and make a complaint. I am going to end my report because I know we have a lengthy agenda this evening. If you have any questions, I'll answer now. Yes.
It seems like you're doing amazing all these decisions for the owner. What are they unclear and do they even clear?
And that's the problem we have because we were told by the mechanic that they were given permission to utilize the space and they do not know where the owner is, but the taxes are paid up to date. So we feel that with the actions of the agencies, if we could come together and kind of enforce some kind of enforcement may, probably propel the homeowner to get involved and maintain the property. So that's where we're at with that. Yeah. Any other question? Hearing none? I yield the floor back to the chair of the board. Thank you.
Thank you. I had failed to ask if there were any questions for me from anyone on the floor. There were some hands raised, so I did see CT. I'm not sure who CT is online. Do you want to unmute yourself and ask your question?
Carla.
Oh, Carlos. Yes, Carlos, do you have a question? I see there, was that Kata? Kata Green?
Hi, good evening. Good evening. It's my first time at a community meeting.
You're muffled?
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Right. Good evening, everyone. It's my first time at our community meeting. It's nice to be here.
Thank you. Is that was Kata Green, right? Are there any other questions? Do you see anybody else? That's it? All right, let's move on. We're now at District Manager Report, Community Committee Reports. I know there are a lot of committees to report. So we're going to start with hospitality.
Good evening. Hold on. Good evening.
Good evening. Good
First
evening,
off, we wanted to say welcome to all those who are visiting and connecting with our community board for the very first time. I'll keep my comments brief. I just wanted to once again reiterate our condolences as well as sympathy towards Chair Julia James in the loss of her father, and to also acknowledge, while we can't do it all the time, but when it falls on a particular day, we also want to acknowledge the moment of rejoicing and celebration, the birthday of one of our community board members today, who is here with us, George Tate.
Oh, George, yay.
We just wanted to acknowledge
Are we
that.
going to sing happy birthday?
I yield the floor.
Budget Committee?
Good evening, everyone. I'm Asher Cunningham, Budget Committee Chair. I'm going to be brief, but as I'm going to echo Ms. Frazier's report where she mentioned that we are starting to collect capital and expense responses. Soon this month, we'll be sending out a form where we'll be collecting your responses to submit by October when that process, the submission of that process will be. So again, start thinking about the things that you want to see around the community that you would like to see change. Maybe it's tree planting, or maybe you want to see tree guards, or just many different things, a school, or different things within the community. And these things you submit through the capital expense process. Again, whatever you're thinking about, start writing them down, and you can call into the office, or we'll be sending out a form by next month or at the end of this month where you can submit those responses. There ends my report.
Is there a deadline?
The deadline would be by September. Again, we're starting the process again. But the submission, as you guys know, it's a year-round process. The submission for the capital expense budget is in October, but that does not mean that you are submitting your responses in, October. You're submitting them before then, and we're preparing the budget by October.
All right, thank you for that report. Are there any questions for, yes, Ms. Belcher? State your name. Wait, I'm sorry. Can I get one person to handle the mic, please? Only because Mr. Frey has an emergency and he's not here. So, no, after you speak, somebody can pick it up. No, Ms. Belcher, come to the mic. After you speak, I just want somebody to have the mic. So just turn it, push it up. Right here. Right here. Right here, just push it up.
Hi, my name is Yolanda Belcher. I live in Midwood, and the unlicensed vendors need to be cleaned up and cleaned out. Is that a part of our resources to find a way to get, because it creates mess a lot of homeless people carouse around it, and there's a lot of fights and a lot of alcohol, and it's really, Flatbush used to be a good neighborhood, but now it's really being run down because, you know, we got all of these different kinds of people trying to just hang out.
So what is the specific location?
It's on Flatbush between Age, near the junction, the Flatbush Junction.
Okay,
near the
because
junction.
that should be, okay, so can you send that to us in an email? Because that H belongs to Community Board 14, the junction belongs to us. So as you move a little bit down Flatbush, that doesn't belong to us anymore. So let's talk, send an email, and we can work together with Community Board 14,
Okay,
as well as the 6-7 and the 6th Street, because you mentioned some issues of fighting. So that's a public safety issue as well.
yeah, it is. Thank you.
And thank you. Are there any other questions for our budget chair and also our first vice chair? No. What I'm going to ask, because there are a lot of things in
I
the
have a question.
agenda. Yes,
Yes, hi. This is Aziz.
go ahead, Aziz.
Embedded in Wingate High School. So I wanted to ask, one, how do we access the form for that application? I'm virtual, so I can't really see if there was a paper form shared. The other piece is based on the way that the park behind Wingate High School looks. We're working with the students to try to reconstruct that space because it's used for football, soccer, track, and many other things. And we just want to be able to like make that space a bit more inviting to the community. So if I can get some more information on that, that would be great.
All right, you can go ahead and answer the first question and I'll answer the second.
So in order to access the form, as I said, the form we will make available by next month. Or in the meantime, if you have the request, then you can call into the office and place that request with Ms. Frazier. But I would suggest to wait until next month where we'll have that form available. It would be a Google form that you would complete.
The second question, Wingate Park is in Community Board 9. So when you look at their budget request form, you could talk to the chair, which is Mr. Baptiste, or somebody in the office at Community Board 9 to get an answer about what they can do with Wingate Park. But that belongs to Community Board 9.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. All right, what I'm going to ask is to expedite. I'm going to call 3 committees at a time, so please line up right there. Chair Westcott, you can hold the mic for me, so in case the audience have questions. All right, so right now we're going to have Commerce, Education, and Housing. I don't see Housing Chair here. All right, so Commerce, Education, and Land Use is not here right now. Parks and Beautification.
Good evening. Good evening, everyone. June Passar, Chair of the Commerce Committee. I just want to say thank you to all those who came out to the business networking breakfast. It was a great success, if I may say so myself. And I would like to extend an invite to the sumptuous sample in June, a date to be announced next month, and flyers will be coming along. I also would like to give you an update on the move of the office. Is that okay, Chair Daly?
Pardon me?
The
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
I'd like to give an update on the move of the office.
Yes, please.
Okay. So the architect, for those who don't know, Committee Board 17 is trying to move to a new location on Rogers Avenue. Is it 1160? I think. The architect had visited the site and they're preparing a property report. They're also we receive a proposal from the owner, and that proposal is being evaluated. The next step is to send it to get a report to DCAS, and that review will likely visit DCAS will likely visit the sites afterward. So this step will take about 3 years, but I just want to fill you guys in on the progress. Thank you. That ends my report.
Thank you. Wait, don't move, Chair. Are there any questions related to her report? Seeing none, move on to Youth and Education.
Good evening, everyone. I want to just say welcome to those who are visiting us. I hope that you do intend to come back. The Youth and Education Committee met April 12th. We had a very insightful meeting with Rolanda Telsbro Hastic, who's a Senior Director of Community Development at the YWCA. She shared with us a number of programs that she has, some of them which are all free or mainly free. One of them, Girls College Access and Leadership Development for high school students. Very, very great program. They also do supports for immigrant families, housing for single persons, something that I wasn't really aware of. And I know in this climate where we're facing developers coming into our community and people being priced out, you know, the YWCA offers a very range of services, especially to women. And one of them is housing, but not for families, unfortunately, but just for single women. So if you know of anyone who doesn't want to go into a shelter, but need a clean, safe environment, please ask them to check out the YWCA. And I'm going to drop her name, Miss Telsford Hastic, to speak to her about being able to become a resident there. And it's permanent. It's not a kind of shelter situation. I want to give a big shout out to my colleague, Miss
Antoine is here. Antoine
No,
is
she's
here.
like sitting here doing this. For the spring extravaganza that she did in partnership with Elite Learners and Councilwoman for Lewis's office. It was really good. I got there late, unfortunately, running around with the grandkids, but I'm hoping next year that we see more people who would be in attendance, because from the pictures I saw and what I heard, the kids had a great time. The committee has an upcoming event. It's called Cops and Kids. It's scheduled for May 10th. I know I sent an email to Inspector Saliba and Detective Skinner, but Ms. Reda told me she will talk to you, as she's also helping plan the event. And I want to ask everyone to please come out, or if you have kids, high schoolers, it's mainly for teens. I will say involve middle school also. This is a event where kids and cops get to role play. And there's some really great conversations that are have and need to be had. Given our climate these days, where how cops are viewing kids, I think that we need to get in a space where there's respect from both sides and kids understand what policing is about and why it's important, and how police understand us in our communities and work with us. Because we know the first thing we do when something happens is call 911. So let's not fool ourselves. We need to build these relationships, and we need to build it with our kids. Any questions? And thank you.
There any questions for the Chair of Youth and Education? Yes, let's start in the back left. Ms.
Yes.
For the previous one, okay, let me get to that. Go ahead, your question?
Yes,
State your
ma'am.
name. Could you stand, state your name loud enough so we can hear you, since on the record?
My name is Jennifer Cordis. I just wanted to get
Jennifer
Cordis.
Fortis.
Yeah.
Okay.
The date of the event and where can I get information about it?
There are actually flyers in the back, and it's May 10th at 4 p.m. and it's at Madison Square Boys and Girls Club on Bedford between Erasmus and Snyder. I'm sorry, I didn't mention that before. There are flyers in the back.
Carlos T., you had a question online? Okay, I think you have to work on the audio, so you might want to log in, log out, because that happens to me sometimes if you didn't accept to use the data. So make sure you accept cellular data. All right, somebody, AA.
Check.
Aziz, go ahead.
Yes, the question was, for those online, will there be a distribution for us to receive those flyers and that information as well?
Because you're muted.
Sorry, excuse me, Chair. We can't hear anything.
There, all right. All right, so that's, I'm getting feedback, you're muted. All right, so the flyer will be up. Can't do it that way. Can we move that one over there, please? Yes. So, why not? That's fine. You can send email or call the board. Chair Antoine?
Hi, this is Miss Antoine, Chair for the Parks and Beautification Committee. Thank you, Ms. Gundison, for acknowledging the beautiful summer extravaganza that we did in partnership with Councilwoman Farah Lewis, Elite Learner, and it was a nice event. Thank you. For those who didn't get a chance, maybe Councilwoman Farah can do it again, and you can be part of it. On April 1st, we did a graffiti removal because we are Park and Beautification Committee in partnership with NYPD 67%. Thank you. And with Elite Learner and Councilwoman Farah Lewis, we did that graffiti removal, and it was beautiful for the community to see the police officers, doing the graffiti removal. I really appreciate that, and they stopped by to ask questions. Unfortunately, we couldn't get to everybody who wanted the service. We will do it again. We also have a new project that community members they were asking for this thing to be done in our community. This is the issue with the bathroom in our parks. So community members, they really talk about issues that they have where they thought the bathroom would be open and they are closed. So the new project for our Parks and Beautification Committee is two things. One, community members should look at the website, and we can also share this information later, where you should look at the time the bathroom is supposed to be open. And then secondly, you should witness that the bathroom is not open at the time that the bathroom should be open, and let us know. Because we don't want to be complaining about something as there is a time for the bathroom to be closed and to be open. So we did a walkthrough at Tilden Park. That was the first one that was mentioned, and actually, they follow the rules. So the bathroom was open at the time that they said that it will open. So that's the project for the community. Look at the bathroom in CB17 parks and take pictures if you see that the bathroom is not open or dirty. And then our email is in the back, so you can take a flyer, then you can email us a picture with your complaint. So that's one of the things. And the second project that we are working on is a healthy eating fair and healthy cooking fair on August 19th. So we have the flyer out there in the back. You can pick one. It's one thing to be complaining about food. It's a second thing to teach our community how to eat healthy. So we will have that in Portergate Park. We are using our parks. So it's August 19th. If you know any agency, or if you are here and you can teach our community how to eat healthy on a budget, please take a flyer and email us. I think that's it. Any question for me?
Thank you. Are there any question for Chair Antoine? All right.
Okay.
I just, thank you so much. I want to make sure I remind all of the chairs that, 2 minutes. So try to get to 2 minutes. Maybe three. I do 3. All right? Because somebody next to me is giving me the elbow. All right. And what am I going to have next 3? Yeah, I got it. I think we about reached quorum. Thank you, Mr. Lewis. You're number 20. I appreciate that. Where are we? Ms. Welch, you want to do your report from there, or you want, Ms. Welch, please. Chair Welch.
Good evening, everyone.
Mr. Lewis, you join us this month up here. Go ahead, Ms. Welch.
Thank you. We had a meeting for last month, and Detective Skinner was there. He was there. He was there. I've seen it many times. Thank you very much, Detective Skinner, for being there. And we discussed different things at our meeting. We're gonna have a actual forum in the next 2 months. I didn't decide, we did not decide what day we're gonna have this forum. And we had a guest from DEP, and they had let us know that they have rain barrels and they have other things to catch water. And they want to know from the community if there's anywhere where there's water settling, meaning the water is not going down when it rains. Please let our community board know about this so we could let DEP know to alert the different engineers so we could have a better neighborhood where water is not settling or corroding our streets. Detective Skinner, you have anything to say? We haven't had any bad things happening lately?
Yeah, Mrs. Chair Welch, I must say, we're so proud of you this month. You even shout out Detective Skinner.
Several times.
Yes. All right, any questions for the public safety? Yes. Maybe we could have two mics. I don't know, maybe it would be a little better. Make sure you state your name.
Yes, hi, my name is Zachary Bernadine.
A little slower. Zachary
Bernadine.
Bernadine, okay.
And so I guess it's kind of like a combo question for both education and youth as well as public safety. So as the summer comes along,
You're speaking a little too fast. Can't hear you. And that goes for everyone. It's being recorded. And when we look at the minutes, it goes inaudible. So slower and clearer.
As the summer comes along, I wanted to know what programs we would have for children and kids that are out of school to, one, protect them from themselves in terms of just having too much free time, as well as finding programs in order for them to spend time being productive within the community. Because last week we had our first warm week, and I go to Pattergate Park on Albany and Foster. And so it was like kind of like this beautiful kind of Spike Lee type Black community movie. And I wanted to maintain that because I know that as the summer approaches, children will have more free times and gang activity will increase.
Secretary Thomas.
So
Detective, go ahead.
Yeah, I guess my question to us is figuring out ways to, I guess, one, see that problem and then mitigate the issues around that issue.
All right, so I'm gonna do part A, right? And then I'm gonna give Detective Skinner part B. One is the summer youth employment. Unfortunately, the application was last week. I finished, so they didn't do that. Some of the kids were around. Summer Rising is another program that they can do. There are a couple of beacon programs as well. And we have one special program, which is a community partner, our PD, which Detective Skinner can briefly say something about how to do it.
So we have the Explorers program, which is something that's all year round. And we also have the YCOs, which the YCOs have individual programs as well. So you can actually come down to the precinct and we can actually hook you up with them and they'll let you know like what they have available, what programs they have available for the summer.
All right, and if the Child Center for Summer Youth, the community board can definitely use some of them, trust me. So that's one of the things, right, Ms. Frazier? Yes, Ms. Frazier? Yeah. All right, the next group. All right, so we have Dr. Renaud, Ms. Montserrat, and Mr. Comina is not here, then Ms. Graham. So those three.
So Chair Daly, I'll go from here.
Go ahead.
Just in the essence of time. Hi, everyone. Welcome. Thanks for being here. The Sanitation Committee continues to work with the Department of Sanitation and the 67th Precinct. And we say thank you so much to you again, the 67th Precinct. You have been towing those cars, the latest of which was on East 37th Street. We also say thanks to Ms. Teresa Cunningham. She had received, I want to say, over 20 emails from us, and we've had a lot of cleanup in the community. So thanks to the Department of Sanitation. And on your way out, I'm going to ask everyone to take a flyer. We have our first official cleanup. This is an attempt to engage the community and change behaviors. So if you can get a copy of this flyer, we have a few copies in the back. There is a QR code that you can scan. We will be in 6 to 8 different locations of Community Board 17. Kindly let everyone know, come out and join us. We're not going to be out there every month cleaning up. This is an attempt to change behavior so that people can clean up their community. And we are doing this in conjunction with the Department of Sanitation and the elected officials so that they can start ticketing and towing and holding our community members accountable. So again, April 29th, if you can pick up a flyer and come out and join us. Thanks for being here.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Yes, go ahead, Doc. Right behind you, right behind you. Oh, wait, I recognize Doc right behind you first.
So my question for sanitation is, there's a lot of illegal dumping that's happening on some of the corners, particularly 37th and Church, where there's a lot of commercial garbage that's there. They're also not garbage for the regular garbage, so it's still people at the time. And it's difficult to cross the street because they're bag upon bag of garbage that are just sitting there. So how are they finding things like that?
Email it to us. We've been going to 311, we've been going to the precinct, we've been going to the Department of Sanitation. Send it in to us, we see whoever sent it in. Whenever we talk about we update you on. That's the topic of Band-Aid solution. There is also online, whoever is caught dumping, and if they are caught, they are ticketed, and they get whatever it is, it's on the Department of Sanitation website. So there are parents in certain locations where if they catch their driver's license, then they go after them.
Go ahead, there's a question in the front. Right here, no, right here.
My question is, you're talking
State
about,
your name for the record.
I'm sorry, Yvette Anderson. My question is, you're talking about cleanup on the street. What about a particular home that's like really need cleanup? It's like an abandoned home. You have somebody, maybe a squatter living in there, and it's really, messy.
All right, so the quick answer to that question is if it's a private property, it is just that, a private property. If you know it's abandoned, you can speak to Vladimir. Vladimir, raise your hand. So you can, I guess something has to look into, but when it comes to private property, the city has no real jurisdiction on a private property, so to speak. So, but if you do know it's abandoned, maybe there's something else that can be done. Any other questions for sanitation? Yes, Ms. Smart.
Hi, good evening. Hi, yes, good evening. Antoinette Smart, board member. My situation is that we have a problem on the block of the cars.
The mic a little closer for the record.
Okay.
Hold it a little closer, thanks.
You want me to yell? The cars that are not being removed on the days that the street needs to be swept. We have made several complaints about this, having the cars removed. Now, the sanitation inspector got very upset with me because I was making several complaints over and over and over. So then they will come, he comes around, 2 days, 3 days, he tickets the cars, and then he disappears. And his issue is that he's the only sanitation supervisor for the entire community. I said, that's not my fault. It's not my problem, it's not my issue. My issue is that we get our streets swept, and you come around and you put the tickets. And that is not happening. It's not happening consistently. I have made several reports. They know my name, they know my number, they have my email address, and we will continue. So whatever you can do to help advocate for us, I'd appreciate it.
Louder, we can't,
Have you contacted Ms. Thomas as well at our sanitation? We're going to get you that information, just in the essence of time. But anything else, if you can please email into the community board, and we're going to try our best to help you resolve it.
all right, so, thank you. In the essence of time, we're gonna move on with the questions. But Ms. Smart, we have to know whether or not they're plated or no plates on the cars, but you can send it in as an email. Okay, thank you. If there are plates is, we'll talk out. All right. So let's move on to the next committee. Go ahead, Ms. Montserrat.
Hi, good evening. My name is Montserrat. I am the new chair of the Social Services Committee. Sorry, we have not met yet, but we were reached out to by Department of Social Services. They are planning to attend one of our meetings, and I believe Ms. Frazier is working on confirming the schedule if they'll be at the next meeting. But they want to come to discuss the planned opening of a shelter on 9720 Kings Highway, Brooklyn. It will be a family shelter that will fit 101 families with children and is planned to open this summer or fall. It doesn't seem that this is a question of will it open? It seems like it is going to open, but they want to come and have a conversation. And they said their goal is to collaborate with community stakeholders to ensure that our facilities are integrated seamlessly into the community. So if you'd be interested in attending the social services meeting where they present that to have conversations about how exactly this shelter will be integrated into the community, please contact Ms. Frazier and we will get you that information. And that's all I have.
Thank you very much. Ms. Graham, and then we're followed after Ms. Graham, we have Dr. Ferguson, Mr. Westcott, and Ms. Thomas.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Rose Graham, and I'm the chair of the Personnel Committee. My report is brief because when it comes to personnel, it's a lot of confidentiality, but I will share with you that we are still experiencing some challenges or turbulence, if you want to call it, at the community board's office. And let me be clear, it's not all of the staff, it's some of the staff. But we are working collaboratively with the Borough President's office, and we are expecting to have some kind of resolution so that we can continue the board's business as it relates to serving the public with a sense of urgency. And that's the end of my report.
You sound angry. I'm sorry, who's next? Oh, sir, assertive. Treasurer Lewis liked to use the term assertive. Go ahead. Dr. Ferguson, go ahead, Black Association.
Hi, I'm Dr. Ferguson. I'm chairperson of the Black Association. Just a quick.
Gotta be a little bit louder, Dr. Ferguson.
Just a quick, we had a meeting with the 67 precinct, meet and greet a couple of weeks ago where we all meet together with the community outreach department. Thank you so much for meeting up with us. We discussed about the safety of the neighborhood, sanitation and crime. Mr. McDaniel, in our meeting, he is the community outreach in the mayor's office. He also mentioned about working collaboratively with the Black Association and Community Board 17. He said you can also reach out to him with certain, any issues in regards, if you are trying to reach out to 311 and you're not getting anywhere, you can also reach out to him. I can also have his email number in the chat as well. There is also a collaboration. I'm representing CB17 in the Downstate Advisory Board. I'll be having a meeting with Dr. Prado soon, and I'll have a further report and update in the next meeting. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Did you happen to have a meeting with the 6-7, the Black Association, on March 24th?
Yes.
Yeah, how was that meeting? I didn't hear her.
Oh,
Did she say?
yes.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you then.
Yes, I mentioned that we had, when we went there, we talked about the safety, about the collaborative effort between the precinct and and the community boards, sanitation, crime. There was a lot of issues that he had mentioned in working to the inspector and working together with the district and the community.
Thank you. It's, so I'm just gonna ask up here to loud, because we didn't hear. All right, thanks. Are there any questions of Block Association? Please note that, I don't know if it was said, because again, I didn't hear, but block parties are coming up, so if you didn't register, please make sure you do so. Contact the board about the block parties and the times and everything else. Okay, Chair Westcott, you have the floor, followed by Ms. Reed.
Good evening, Committee Board 17.
Good evening.
I'm the liaison between Committee Board and the Post Office. What I'm saying, most of the time, at this time of year, if you go to the Post Office and it's crowded, it's because of people trying to put in their taxes late. And that's about my report, because everybody, most people are trying to get that taxes in so they wouldn't have been charged. Okay, this is my report for tonight. Any
I'm
question?
sorry. Thank you.
Any
Are there
question regards?
Any questions for Chair Westcott? Seeing none, I skipped Chair Thomas. I did say her first, and then Chair Thomas, and then Chair Reed.
Good evening, everybody. Tamara Thomas. Is that, okay. Good evening, everybody. Tamara Thomas. I am the Communications Chair for the board, and my report will be brief. Just really quickly, our YouTube channel has been updated, and all committee meetings to date have been added to the channel, so you can feel free to peruse. It's all been put up and apportioned out and sectioned off, and so you can go to the YouTube channel. The handle is @BK Community Board 17, or you can visit our website to navigate to the channel, and you can find all the community meetings there. That was a long time coming, and it's finally done. The other thing, the chair mentioned earlier that I will be out on leave due to medical reasons. So Ms. Chair Montserrat Oni will be the point person for communications in my place. Thank you, Chair Oni. I really appreciate that. You can contact her by email at the same address you'd contact me, which is bk17communicationschair@gmail.com, if you have any communications needs. Thank you. The what? Oh, it's @BK Community Board 17, the number 17. @BK Community Board 17.
Are there any other questions for Chair Thomas? Chair Reed?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Janice Reed, and I represent the Community Board under Brookdale CAB. Just update that the CAB would be sponsoring a fundraiser to support some of the agencies within the hospital, and that's going to be planned for October 2023. This is a holdover. We had planned it in 2020, but with COVID, it did not transpire. So it's going to be planned for late in October. I'll give you more information as details are furnished. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. We now will move into agency report. If anybody missed any questions for any of the committees, myself or the district manager? I see none. Agency report, we'll start with our chief of police for the 6-7, our commander, our inspector, Gabby Salibra. Yes, please.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Really, good evening, everyone. Thank you for having us. It is an absolute pleasure to be before you. You know, I know we don't have a lot of time, so I'll try to make it as brief as possible. The Blocks Association meeting that we had on March 24th, it was really an effort to start looking ahead to the summer. We know a lot of things, a lot of dynamic changes when the summer comes around, and a lot of focus, a lot of resources go towards keeping the community safe, continue to work in collaboration with the community, such as CB17, So in that spirit, we had a meeting with all the block association that exists within the 6-7, everyone who was able to attend that meeting. And it was a pretty successful meeting. And we intend to have a consistent approach to that as the summer kind of rolls around, because we know a lot of those blocks are looking to have block parties and we want them to be safe. This Saturday, I don't know if you mentioned it, Mr. Chair.
Please do.
Yeah, this Saturday, me and Mr. Daly here, we will be doing a park walk and talk, if you want to call it that, where we're really going to join forces. We are going to visit some designated locations. And we really just literally, he's going to be in my car. We're going to be driving around to different parts of the neighborhood. We're going to park our car. We're going to walk, hopefully bring your walking shoes, and we're going to be talking to some people. Really just to, again, it's that whole, let's gear up, because we know a lot of dynamics change in the summertime. We're down 4% in crime for this period. For the year, we're actually down nearly 3% in crime. We're down in all major categories, with the exception of car thefts. We're up 29% in car thefts for this period. And really, we can put a big dent in that if we just turn off our cars. Do not leave your engines running. Even if you have your key fob on you, if you walk away from your car to get a cup of coffee, if you walk away from your car to drop mail in the mailbox, or to pick up an order, it's just like that. Your car can be stolen. And we have, unfortunately, people out there that are looking for those opportunities to look for cars that are running, for them to jump in it. Sometimes it's a joyride, but sometimes your car end up being a part of a crime scene. For example, on Ralph Avenue, we had a robbery the other day, and it was a stolen car, 1 minute left. It was a stolen car that initiated the whole robbery attempt that turned into gunshots being let off, right? So please, I implore you to lock your doors, turn off your car. Even if you double park, I know sometimes you keep it on because you think somebody's not gonna give you a ticket. Turn off your car, keep your keys with you, all right? We had a shooting on Monday on Rutland and Rockaway Parkway. We had really great video on that. It looks like it's between known parties. The detectives are doing a wonderful job putting that case together. But we've increased patrol in that area as well. Time's up? Okay, it sounds like time was up. So maybe I'll just open it up to questions. I mean, the last thing I'll say is just know and be confident that the men and women of the 67th precinct, and I say this all the time, are working day and night. Literally, when you're sleeping, there's officers in the precinct. When you're at work, there's officers in the precinct working day and night to keep the community safe. And that is our commitment, and we will continue to do so.
Thank you. All right. So there are two mics. Wait, are there any questions on this side? So I want to know if I need to keep the mic on this side. All right, so Ms. Gordon on this side, Mr. Westcott. We have two here. Member Passard. The mic is behind you.
I'm so happy to see you. Thank you for coming. So I want to know if I'm safe to sleep at night. And I say that just because there have been a stabbing, shooting, fights in the vicinity of East 34th Street, the Junction, things like that, about 2 weeks ago.
You said the Junction?
Yeah. There was a fight, there was a stab, a person was stabbed, and the shooting. And due to some resources, I was told they were all connected. My son told me, Ma, don't go out on the street, stay off the street. I understand it's gang related. Do you have any kind of updates that you could give us?
I think you mentioned the Junction.
Yeah, well, Flatbush, Nostrand and Glenwood, we call that the Junction area.
Yeah, it's the 70 precinct.
Well, it's just before you get to the Glenwood.
You
just
have
before you get to the Junction.
you have the train station side.
Yeah, okay. In my head, the Junction is the 70 precinct. So stabbing, you said, shootings. And
Well, the shooting was on East 34th Street between Farragut and Glenwood. They shut up the trap house, you know, the trap house.
yeah, 844.
844 East 34th Street, right,
Yeah, no,
exactly.
absolutely. I was there that night. Shots did go off.
I know.
Unfortunately, we don't have a cooperating complainant for that shots. The detectives again are working very hard on that case.
Yeah,
But there's no arrest on that case. Thank God nobody was hit.
yeah.
But I was personally, I was there that night when the shots went off.
Are you aware about the stabbing? Because they're all connected, I was told. It's a gang retaliation.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
thank you. We'll talk on the side afterwards. Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
The young lady with the nice, beautiful gray hat with the flower in the front. Please state your name for the record.
Good evening. Good evening. My name is Agnes Roberts.
Good evening.
I've been constantly calling the precinct to find out when is the next meeting to attend for Block Association. And no one, I called at least 3 times and no one returned my call. So could you tell me when do you have your monthly meeting so I can attend without waiting to be told?
Sure, absolutely. So we have, and that was going to be my last thing, is the community council meeting, which is tomorrow night at the precinct. It is going to be at 7 o'clock tomorrow night at the precinct, 2820 Snyder Avenue, the 6-7 precinct. I heard you mention the Block Association part meeting. That is a separate meeting. We don't have a date yet for that. But what I'm going to do is ask my community affairs officers to go over to you right now. If you could do me a favor, run over to her right now, get your contact number, and we will make sure that we send you an invite whenever we have a date for the Block Association meeting.
Yes, and the young lady in the front also has a question. Is it the same question? Okay, not a problem. Yes, go ahead, Ms. Thomas.
Good evening. A few months ago, you guys reported on a person who was slashing women in their face on the streets. Do you have any updates on that? Was there an arrest made? Do you have any new information on that assailant?
We didn't, what we had was a rash of women getting robbed where their purses were getting snatched. It was being done at knife point, box cutter point, where a person would go up to the female. Sometimes it would happen at 1 o'clock in the morning. Sometimes it would happen at 6 o'clock, 8 o'clock in the morning.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
So that's what we had. Thank God. Again, with the deployment, normally is our deployment, we respond to the data. So whenever we see something pops up, I mean, I look at the data every single day. We respond to that. We were able to deploy it with that. So we did make an arrest in that, in that case. Honestly speaking, from looking at all the reports, I'd be lying to you if it was one person that was responsible for all of it, because we, through video, we saw different things. It was just a weird time, to be honest with you, just different people doing the same thing, and those different people had no connection with each other. But we haven't taken any. The officers continue to be out there in those areas that we used to take them, and it's good.
Thank you very much. If there are any other questions, with Officer David. Right there, raise your hand so that everybody see you. Stand up. Everybody see. All right, our Community Affairs and Detective Skinner will take your question in the back before anything else. And again, let's move on. Is there some question online? I might take one online since somebody spoke. No, see none.
All right, thank you. I hope I see you guys tomorrow night at our community council meeting. Thank
and
you.
on Saturday.
And Saturday, yes.
All right. Department of DEP here. DEP, going once, going twice. Okay. Department of Building. Chair Antoine, is there a list of the agencies that are here? Go ahead.
Good evening, wonderful people. My name is Vladimir Edward. I am the Community Engagement Liaison at Department of Building. And basically, I'm here, thank you for having me here tonight at CB 17. It's a pleasure to be here for my first time. Usually I'm behind the camera screen at home and my video blocked, but other than that, I'm finally here in front of you wonderful people. So basically, with Department of Buildings, what we provide is assistance with regards to construction noise. Let's say it's Saturday morning early and you're tired, you don't want to hear any banging or scraping noises from the construction work. You can give us a call and we can check to see if the property, if they have any after-hour variances, and if they don't, we shut it down. Other than that, we also work with community boards and elected officials regarding to abandoned properties, as Ms. Frazier has pointed out, with the abandoned lot at 1437 Utica Avenue, where we are going to be working close with Community Board 17 as well as other departments to ensure that some changes are made with that property, despite it being abandoned, with the cars, unclaimed cars being parked over there, and campfires from homeless people eating and making campfires in the back. So we have a long way to go, but at least we had some progress there. Also, I'd like to happily let you know that we are doing buildings after hours. So if you're a homeowner and let's say you have a violation and you need help to get that violation off, we have a lot of people assisting every Tuesdays at our building after hours at 345 Adams Street. Again, 345 Adams Street every Tuesdays from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. So feel free, no appointment needed. And if you are a small business owner, we are going to be working closely with the small business services in order to help any upcoming small businesses get the proper permits, whether it's for signage or whether it's for ensuring that any alteration, construction, or even demolition is done properly without any type of violations. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, go ahead, Ms. Munson.
Oh, for the building after hours? So it's going to be Tuesdays, every Tuesdays at 345 Adams Street, Brooklyn, New York, of course. From 4 p.m. to 7 p.m.
All right. Go ahead, there's a question in the back, right here.
Yes.
Ms. Welch? Oh, Ms. Belcher? You look alike.
Hi, Yolanda Belcher. Is there an average time that construction can start in the morning and end in the evening?
Yes, according to my knowledge, don't quote me on it, it should be around the times, if I'm not mistaken, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m., but I would have to double check and get back to you on that. Anytime after 6 to 6 p.m. Thank you, thank you. These are the real Department of People, Department of Buildings workers over here. But till 6 p.m. Anytime after that, they would need an after-hour variance permit. 7
to 7
to 6. Thank you. Mind you, I started in October, and so I'm still relatively new.
You did a good job, and we had you out all day. Montserrat, can you mute that person, Ms. Oni, please? All right, I saw a couple more hands, so I'm going to take 2 more questions. Mr. Robinson, go ahead. You had a question? He answered it. Dr. Renaud, did you have a question?
Yep.
Wait, can we, and when he's done, and then when he's done, just give him a courtesy to finish, and then we can move on. Can we allow him to finish before we move on from something else? Go ahead.
Yes.
Tamara Thomas, Secretary for the Board. My question is regarding variances, because you mentioned them. In the past, it felt as if DOB was very generous with variances. Have you guys done anything to tighten that up? Because if you give people variances when they can work all hours, early in the morning, late into the night, weekends, then, any regulation is toothless. I mean, because they'll just put it in your face like, we got variations, deal with it.
Okay, so this is not the first time I've heard of something like that. we're not lenient with the variances. There's certain buildings that, whatever the case may be, whether it's an issue of public safety concern, usually they'll get the after-hour variance granted. However, even though they have the after-hour variance, in certain cases, we found certain construction companies that were violating the conditions of the after-hour variance, and we had to put a stop onto their variances. So if we get any complaints, and even though they have an after-hour variance, if it is contrary to what they applied for to get that after-hour variance, we're shutting it down. Yeah. No problem.
He's a bad man. All right. Yes. Wait, did you ask, hold on, before you give her the mic, did you ask a question? Before you give her the mic, did she ask a question already? I believe she did.
On his answer that he gave me.
What do you mean? Okay, go ahead. What is it? Go ahead with your question.
My question was regarding construction noise. You said 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. Does that include Saturday and Sunday? Are they allowed to work on Saturday and Sunday?
Let me check with my Department of Building. Is it? No, I know, I'm just playing around. But pardon?
No, go ahead.
Yeah, for weekends, you would need an after-hour variance for weekends. Does that answer your? Yeah, usually it's no weekends, but.
I'm going to say something about that, right? In certain communities, certain people are allowed to work on Sundays in certain communities, but when you go to their community, you're not allowed to work on Saturdays. And I told you already, I'm retired and nobody can fire me. They can make me step down, but they can't fire me and I just go home. I'm still retired. Certain communities, right? You can't work on a Saturday. But then those same people come into our communities and work on Sundays. So let's have a real conversation, right? We don't want none of them in our community, right? So if you can't work on a Saturday,
right?
I go to church on Sunday. You
Right.
got to respect that.
Right.
I got to respect you. You got to respect me.
Just to be on the safe.
What can we do in our community? I mean, that's a serious question, and it does happen.
Right.
I heard all the amens in the audience, although they don't want to talk.
Oh, definitely. I've had that recently 2 weeks ago, waking up on a Sunday morning, hearing buzzing noises.
Yeah.
So this is why we strongly encourage call 311 and let them know. And automatically 311 will patch it on to us, to our unit, so that we can send it over to investigation.
Let's put it back to you another way. If you don't live in our community next to the building that you're building, then you don't get a variance for coming into our community unless I can go next door to you on your day of worship and say it's okay to bang something. I think that's what we're asking for. Can we deny the community the access to the variance, especially if they don't have community input on a Saturday period? That's the question.
It's a great question, but I'm gonna have to get back to you on that.
Thank you. That's the answer I want to hear. Thank you, Vladimir. That sounds
I
better.
didn't mean to get all political.
Because I don't think it's fair. Okay. All right. Sorry, Vladimir. I had to do that.
No, that's so good.
I can't have Vladimir answer. I've had him all day. Trust me, since 10 o'clock this morning. I know he's tired. So,
It's so good.
all right. I'm gonna owe you dinner one day. Yes, Mr. Beck. Because it's not your property that they're banging in. They're just making noise that goes over to your property. That's the difference.
No, but you see, we supposedly go to church on Sunday. And you live next door to me. Why am I having somebody coming to bang on Sunday? You say you're going to church. So why is your neighbor allowing that person, if that person is of your ethnicity, allowing that person to come in and bang?
I think you have it. I'm not sure if I'm understanding. I'm not understanding. What I'm saying is, for example, in certain communities, people will come in, right? And they'll come in on a Sunday to do work because on Saturday, they can't do any work. So they're going to come into my day of rest, my family day, my church day, my day of sanity, and bang. So I could go to church at 8 o'clock in the morning, come back home at 10. Bang. That's what we're talking about. I'm not sure if I understood your question.
But you live here there and I live here. The person in whose home they're banging is that your same ethnicity.
No, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about construction. We're talking about construction. No, that's not what we're talking about. So let's say, no, we're talking about you want to put up a building. Like you want to put up a building, you want to do this, you want to do that. That's what we're talking about.
So that's, nobody's living there, it's a developmental.
Yes. Yes. All right, because if you're in the same neighborhood, you're not going to do the same thing. All right, we got to move on to the next. We got to move on. So I'm sorry, Treasurer. I know you didn't ask me the question, but I can't.
That's all good. Thank you. Have a wonderful night.
Blame it on Miss Yvette. She took it away. Is there any other? Yes. Is that a hand or a finger? I don't know. It's a hand. Go ahead. Please use the mic.
So we're going to try to move this along quickly because we're starting to stall. I'm rising for a special order of business to make an amendment to this month's agenda.
Please state the order of business.
The resolution, I'd like to state the motion, which is a resolution.
A motion.
Whereas Community Board 17 adopted an amendment to its bylaws in January 2023, that the election of its officers be held every 2 years to provide for community continuity and fruition of projects that the various officers and committee chairpersons are engaged in, and to reduce the frequency of the administrative undertaking of holding elections annually. Whereas the amendment to change Article 2, Section A2, term of the bylaws was made effective upon its adoption.
Article 11.
Article 11, thank you. Whereas Article 11A2 of the bylaws now reads, terms each officer shall serve for 2 consecutive fiscal years, with the term beginning on July 1st and terminating on June 30th of the 2nd consecutive fiscal year. Be it resolved that Community Board 17, in accordance with Article 11, Section A2, term hold its.
You're right. It was 2. Miss Thomas jumped the gun. It is 2. It's a Roman numeral 2.
Ms. Thomas, I thought I needed new glasses. I'm just going with him. So term hold its next election of officers in June 2024, 2 years from its last election held in June 2022.
Okay. There's a special order of business on the floor. It needs to be duly seconded. I second it. You need a majority vote for us to put it. Is it for this month? All right, so we need a vote of the audience to this on the agenda. I believe that. Two-thirds vote from all present. Before we can do that, we have to see if we establish quorum. Madam Secretary, do we have quorum?
Yes, we do have quorum.
Would you attendance out loud, please?
Okay. Okay, Kwame Afre,
Present.
Aaron Ampau, Berlat Antoine,
Present.
Joan Alexander Bakardine, Hassan Bakardine, Barrington Barrett, Mary Bell Downs, Teresa Brereton, Hermina Brown.
Also typifies the joy
Can you mute? Chair Odie, can you mute whoever's, thank you.
That's, I haven't changed.
Karen Charles DeFreitas, Asher Cunningham, Diphy Cerulean, Roderick Daly, Natasha Duncan, Dr. Natalie Ferguson, Pearline Fields, Allison French Kenton. Dr. Charles Galbraith. Rachel Goodfriend. Rose Graham. Gail Grandison. Julia James is excused. Hillary Joseph. Rhonda Joseph. Osney Lewis. Montserrat Oni. Rodney Pepe Souvenir. June Prasad. Dion Quamina. Patricia Reddock. Janice Reed. Dr. Carol Renault. Antoinette Smart. George Tate. Tamara Thomas, present. Marguerite Viglianti. Jessica Welch. Kenrick Westcott. Okay, we've got 22, we've got quorum.
So we have checked, we duly have quorum. The motion was duly made and second, required by show of hands, a 2/3 vote to put it on this month's agenda. The bylaw states it needs 30 days, but it can be overruled 2/3 vote. All in favor of putting on this month's agenda, please do so by raising your hand.
That's 16. Yeah, if you could stand, please.
Yeah, that works, and then you sit down.
16, that can't be right.
It's voted.
Yes, of course I'm voting. Well, I know, but if you are voting, you should stand.
All right, so June 1.
Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
What they
6,
standing for?
7, 8, 9.
Oh,
Oh, she's not a board member.
what?
Mr. Aquay, are you standing to say yes?
I guess. I left.
All right, I gotta start over. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14.
Understand for us?
19. All right, so that's 19.
All right, all opposed, please stand. All opposed, please stand. 1. Anyone, any abstention? 1. And Mr. Tate? You abstain? Says 2 abstention. Okay, the motion carries. All right, the motion is on the floor to be debated. Is there any debate to the motion? Is there any debate to the motion? Is there any debate to the motion? Seeing none, I see a readiness to call the question. All right, all in. I think we have to do it's an amendment, right? So please call everyone's name so they can vote, state your vote.
Kwame Afre.
Yes.
Antoine Burlap.
Yes.
Hassan Bakrdeen. Wait a minute. Asher Cunningham. Roderick Daly.
Yes.
Natasha Duncan. Dr. Ferguson. Pearline Fields. Dr. Galbraith. Rose Graham. Gail Grandison. Osney Lewis. Montserrat Oni. June Prasad. Janice Reed. Dr. Renault. Antoinette Smart. George Tate.
Abstain.
Thanks. Tamara Thomas is a yes. Jessica Welch. Kenrick Westcott.
Yeah, is it a yes? You got a verbal, you have to, yes.
Okay.
All right, thank you very much. All right, so we're at the point of the agencies. Are there any other agencies? Yes, you had your hand up, Ms. Berlot?
Yeah.
Yes, go ahead, Chair Berlot.
Can I please be recognized, Chair Daly?
I can't hear you.
Can I be recognized?
Yes, please, you are recognized. Call on you.
I'm rising for a special order of business as well to make an amendment for this monthly agenda.
Another one?
Yes.
Go ahead, state the special order of business.
This is for the rezoning committee resolution. Whereas
We can't hear you.
rezoning committee resolution. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Whereas Community Board 17 for the past 17 years has tried to ensure that there is a planned development within the district, and whereas the CB 17's current zoning regulation date back to the 1960s, whereas CB 17 has solicited the assistance of at least 3 urban planning firms to assist in updating previous research and analysis, community engagement, and to prepare a report that supports a rezoning to achieve the goal of preserving 1 to 2 family homes for homeownership, supporting contextual density that will result in the creation of income-restricted housing, and preserving and protecting existing small businesses for speculation and redevelopment. Be it resolved that Community Board 17 engage the service of the lowest qualified bidder to provide expert advice and assistance as it relates to the rezoning of the district of Community Board 17.
All right, thank you. Is there anyone to second the motion?
Tamara Thomas seconds that motion.
All right, the motion has been made and duly second. It takes a 2/3 member to put it on this month's agenda. All in favor of putting this on the agenda, please raise your hand.
Please stand, actually. Please
Okay, stand is easier, all right.
Just raise it up.
Ms. Welch's name. All right, 14 is best. All right. So are anybody opposed? I know 2 people walked out. Anybody opposed? Is that opposed to Ms. Duncan? Member Duncan? No, you just didn't see it yet. All right. So 19, any abstention? See none, 19 yes and 0 no's. Okay, is there any debate? You can do whatever you want, sir. Just as long as you're not out of order.
I just want to make an amendment to the bylaws.
So I rise to make an amendment.
I rise to make an amendment to the bylaws, to the resolution. The word lowest qualified bidder, I suggest that the word most qualified bidder be added, simply because I feel lowest qualified bidder could insinuate the person who, the lowest bidder may not be the best person for the job. So I think saying most qualified bidder could also mean the cheapest person. So I suggest we change the word to most qualified bidder.
I'm gonna say, okay, so there's a motion on the floor. Is anyone second it?
I second the motion.
Okay,
Trustee Lewis.
thank you. All right, so I'm gonna vote no on the motion, technically. So you're chair.
I'm sorry.
I can't really cheer and,
Okay.
so you're doing it.
Okay, so what am I doing?
Raise your hand if anybody's debating.
Oh, is there anyone who wants to debate? Okay, go ahead, please, Chair. You are recognized.
All right, so, sorry, it's actually out of order if I'm supposed to chair. I cannot chair a motion and speak to the motion at the same time. So the reason I'm saying, I believe the question is not lowest, I would like to amend the motion to state lowest based upon the guidelines of the city is not dependent on the lowest qualification, but the lowest cost for the application if they're qualified. So if they're qualified, it has to be the lowest cost. So amend the motion to state the lowest qualified bidder by cost is what it is. It's not about who has A, who has a B, but the amount of money.
That would be lowest cost qualified bidder.
Yes, lowest cost qualified bidder. Yes.
I hear your point, Mr. Daly, but I think always putting cost, the lowest cost may not yield the best results. And I think we have to be careful about saying lowest cost. We could simply say the best qualified person. The best qualified person could simply also be the cheapest person. So I think it would be upon our discretion to select the best qualified person.
So the only thing I have to say to that is that the city does not allow, the city asks for you to get the bid, and the ones that is the best qualified at the lowest cost is what the city will take. That's unfortunately what the charter says. Yes, ma'am. Is that for qualification? Because you have to be a board member to debate. Are you qualifying something I just said? Because you can't debate unless you're a board member. You can ask a question, that you can do. Yeah, yes, because they have to send in something. All right, yes, your chair.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Okay, so then can't he chair and then I raise my hand?
Go ahead.
Okay, how about we add an additional word? Lowest cost, highest qualified. Is that out of order?
Yes.
Sorry.
You can amend something 3 times. You can only do it twice. I know. So again, I'll just help out from here. Mine said lowest qualified bidder, cost. Lowest cost qualified bidder, which is a city mandate, right? That dictates the lowest bidder. So we need to vote on that amendment first, and then we can go to his amendment. That's how it works. So, and I'm just helping her out, although she's chairing, which is all in favor of amendment number 2 that said lowest cost qualified bidder as the amendment, please do so by raising your hand. One more time. So the statement would just be state your clarification to my. All right, so I'm saying that it's be it resolved that our community board engage the services of the lowest cost qualified bidder. So we added the word cost. Could the city ask you to get 3 bids? Technically, it's out of order, but you asked for qualification, right? All right, so the city asked you to get 3 bids, then you take the cost, the one that's the cost, that is the lowest. That's what the city asked for. But you can make the adjustment to say most qualified and take out cost, but that's not what the city mandate is. The lowest cost of the most qualified. And that's up on us to determine. Yes. Are you drawing your motion? No. Okay, so anybody, all in favor of the motion of the lowest cost qualified candidate, please do so by raising your hand. All right, so please insert lowest, so between the word lowest and qualified, please put in the word cost. That means the cost to the board. Okay, so again, we resolved that CB 17 engage the services of the lowest cost qualified bidder. Okay, that's the amendment. All right, with that being said, show of hands. 1, 2, wait. 1, 2, 3. Okay. 4, 5. Oh, 6. All right. So 6. All oppose? All oppose? 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The automatic failed already. So now the motion on the floor is the amended version. Now, if the amended version fails, then it goes back to the first motion. So where's the insert? Take out the word. So take out the word lowest and put in the word most. But again, so this was about cost, right? So you have to add the word cost, has to be in there. Regardless of cost. Okay. Something like that.
I mean, let's just vote on what it is. I think I simply asked, and you said, no matter what, we make the determination, no matter the cost. So I think most qualified doesn't, saying most qualified doesn't take away the fact that we're going to select the lowest cost.
Just want to make sure you restate what you want the motion to say.
Most qualified bidder.
Okay. So the motion of, his motion, amended motion is the most qualified bidder. All in favor, get rid of the word lowest and put the word most. All in favor of the most qualified bidder, please do so by raising your hand. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. All right, the motion carries. So let me just do the, for parliamentary reasons. Anybody oppose? Anybody abstain? The motion carries. That means you do not have to vote on the original motion. All right, moving on. We're at agencies of agency. Agency, quickly.
Yes.
Yes, Ms. Belcher.
Also?
It's about the actual building. So it's not, it's, yes, it does. Because it's just home ownership, that it's about rezoning, what they can do to rezone. So if you don't have it already, you can't have it. That's what the point is. All right, go ahead, state your name and your agency.
So it includes.
Hello, good evening, everyone. I'm Venus Canterbury. I'm the Brooklyn Outreach Coordinator for the New York City Civilian Complaint Review Board. I'll keep it very brief. I know we all want to go home. So we are an independent agency that investigates, mediates, and prosecutes police misconduct of members of the NYPD. Our jurisdiction is excessive force, abuse of authority, discourtesy, and offensive language. And we also have a racial profiling and bias-based policing unit that investigates allegations of racial profiling. And also we investigate sexual misconduct. I have 2 brief announcements. I'll be very quick. So last month in March, the CCRB testified to the Public Safety Committee at City Council about our budgetary needs. The increase of our budget will help us expedite cases, and because we have a backlog of cases since COVID. Also, Speaker Adams of the Public Safety Committee introduced 093823, which sponsored by Speaker Adams. If passed, it will grant the agency direct access to body-worn camera footage. This is a major hurdle in our agency. It takes a very long time for us to receive that body-worn camera footage from the NYPD. So if this is passed, we get the body-worn camera footage straight to us and we can expedite closing these cases. Lastly, we have an upcoming May Brooklyn board meeting for this borough. It's at Restoration Plaza. I have some flyers in the back of the table. This is going to be a town hall discussion about police accountability. So we invite Brooklyn, especially Community Board 17, because this community board has one of the highest police misconduct complaints, to come out and voice your comments, questions, and concerns to our board. And we have another flyer. This is just a general flyer. If you want to file complaints, you can scan this QR code and it will direct you to many methods. You can file complaints on our hotline, on our website. You can come in person at 100 Church Street, Lower Manhattan. or you can file direct message us on social medias if you see something that alludes to police misconduct. So I'll be here. I have my business cards. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me, and have a good night, everyone.
Thank you, Ms. Sabrina.
Venus.
Venus,
Yes, Venus.
so, like the planet? All right. Mr. Reed, congratulations, sir.
Hello, everyone, and good night. I too know that you all have a long night ahead, so I won't be long. I would like to reintroduce myself. I am now the new Brooklyn Borough North Director for the Mayor's Office of Community Affairs and Citywide Youth Coordinator. So I will be here at your meetings, responding to questions and giving information, sitting in on the district cabinet meetings with your executive board, and also precinct council meetings in this community to make sure that our community is not forgotten. I'm excited and looking forward to working with you all, continuing to work with you all. Just quickly, as you all know, the waste set out times have changed since April 1st. I hope you all have been okay with that, but there is some info sessions coming up that I'll make sure that the chair and the district manager get in case anyone wants any more information. There's actually a info session tomorrow at 11 a.m. and also one on the 24th at 7 p.m. So that's to answer or clarify any questions regarding the changes to set out times for our garbage in the communities. If you have not already and you are a business owner, you can still apply for SYEP in the summer. It's unfortunately too late to register our children. That deadline, I believe, was last week. But if you are a company or business and you want to have interns or employees, young people, give them experience, we do encourage you to still apply. The deadline for companies is May 26. And lastly, my contact information is H Reed, that's H as in Harry, REID, at cityhall.nyc.gov, and looking forward to working with you all. Thank you.
So companies who want to help, what's the email address? Do you know that off the top?
I have the link here. I can always send it in an email. That way you can get it out to your folks the easiest. Because if I start to read this link, it would get lost.
All right, thank you. Anybody, any questions for the mayor's office? Yes.
You're talking about the outdoor dining sheds and such. I believe that is under DOT's.
DOT?
Yes, but I can also double check. Is there a particular location?
Yes.
Because I know that what they've been doing is trying to target ones that are no longer in use or not following the guidelines that are currently set. And definitely, if it falls within those guidelines, they're removing them.
15 Clarendon
East
Road?
56 between
56?
Clarendon and Beverly.
Thank you.
Okay, I'll take note of that. You said East 56 and where?
Clarendon and Beverly.
Okay. Any other questions?
Yes, can we have that email address again?
Yes, H as in Harry, R.
As in Hercules, man.
Or as in Hercules, right? That would have made more sense. H as in Hercules. REID, Reed, at cityhall.nyc.gov. Thank you.
So that's the first initial, last name.
Yes,
All right.
really simple. And shout out to everybody online. And thank you to this board for your commitment week in and week out to service our communities. We can't do this work without you. So thank you.
Thank you. All right. Any other agencies? What agency? No, I mean.
Hi, my name's Heidi. I'm the young adult librarian at Rugby. I'll be quick. I just wanted to highlight a couple programs we have coming up.
Heidi, maybe pull the mic down a little. So.
Sorry. Spellbound Theater will be at Rugby this Saturday from 11 to 12:30. It's an interactive puppet show for children 5 and under. We also have Rainy Babies Thursdays from 11 to 12, and we'll begin having a gardening program The dates are to be announced. They'll start probably late May, but we'll be doing terrariums, container gardening, macrame hanging planters. So all the flyers are in the back if you're interested. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I love the visit, by the way, Heidi. Community, are there any other agencies? Going once, going twice? Online? Who's online? CT? I'm sorry, say it again. Carlos T. Okay, Carlos, unmute yourself. Yeah, Department of Health. Yeah. Is that Carlos T from Department of Health? I think he's been having mic trouble all day. All right, so we're going to skip Carlos for a minute. If he gets his mic, Carlos, you're the only person allowed to interrupt us if your mic starts working, because you've been having questions all day. That's it. Ms. Stevenson, good morning. Do you have a comment from the Borough President's office? Yes, please do. This is your time.
It's mine.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
I don't have much to say because I know that the borough president came in person last month and told you what he had to say. Anyway, we did welcome a new deputy borough president. She started 2 days ago. Her name is Reverend Kimberly Council. So you'll be seeing her sometime. She's going to come and visit and out in the community representing the borough president. And the only other thing I'll talk about is community boards, because we've been getting so many calls from members all over asking what's going on, when are we going to hear something? So no later than Friday, but probably tomorrow. The new cohort of community board members will be announced. And if you can mark the date, so if you are reappointed, May 4th is the day for the swearing in. And the borough president is looking forward to seeing you all at Borough Hall, but there will also be a WebEx option that you can join in via, online. It is required. There would be a training as well attached to it. I know you all are old hands at it, but still, he wants you to have the orientation as well. So good luck to everyone. It has been quite an odyssey, but we're almost there. Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, any questions for the Borough President's office and Ms. Stevenson? No? All right, let's move on. All right, we're at a community session. Those are the people in the community that have any comments. You have 1 minute. You have 1 minute.
And good evening. Last month.
Are there any other members in the community? Please line up either section. There's a mic at both sides.
Good evening. Can you hear me now?
Yes, ma'am.
Last month.
State your name for the record again.
My name is Agnes Roberts, and I'm from Board 17, and I live on 43rd Street. And I'm here to question about the proposed Kingsborough site building. I spoke about it last month. And I need to know what is Community Board 17 doing with, because this project is really in Board 12.
Board 9.
Board 9, sorry, Board 9. So what are you doing? Because this is going to affect us at Board 17 more than Board 9. So what are your involvement in this with the state? Because last month you told me it was a state issue. So I want to know, what are you doing about this with the state?
All right, so as I stated last month, right, the actual issue is the building is in Board 9.
Yes.
So we in Board 17 cannot stop the construction of the building in Board 9. It's not within our jurisdiction. However,
yes,
we have been having conversations to look at what things that we can do right? But in terms of the actual building, moving people in, moving people out, we have no jurisdiction over that. And we have been in conversation as well regarding that. One of the things that we're gonna have to do, obviously, is work on safety, public safety within our own communities is one of the concerns that we're going to have. And we've been talking and trying to make things like on that level. Also, there's a talk of oversaturation of homeless shelter
Absolutely.
within our own community. So we have had those conversations as well to try to stop or slow down or, according to the borough president, neutralize, as in moving from one area to the other, not just in one other area. So there are talks, but in terms of the physical edifice that you're asking about, at this moment, we don't have the ability to stop the project from happening.
Doesn't it need a resolution too from board?
No,
No, it does not?
no, yes,
Okay.
all
All
right? Thank you.
Thank you.
So again, when it comes to the state and state projects, the community board, maybe not even the city council has control over that. OGS, which is the state operating general services, Operation General Services, they are the ones that look over the construction and so forth. This building falls under the mental hygiene and everything else, as well as also taking care of those folks that, like halfway house and all these things. So again, the only person you could really, I would say, complain to on that level would be your state senator and the assembly person, state assembly person. You could reach out to them to find out what could be done. But for us here in the city, when it comes to state and federal things, we do not have jurisdiction or control over them.
All right, and your state senator is Zelnor Myrie, and your assembly is Brian Cunningham. Okay, all right, let's move on. Any other community?
Carlos here. Can you hear me now?
Yes, you have 1 minute.
It's okay, great. My name is Carlos. I'm with the Department of Health and Mental Hygiene. I just want to tell you about some of the things that we're doing. We're having a couple of mental health first aid courses. Those courses will help you to work with people who have mental illnesses. Those will be in May. I'll email you all the dates. We have farmers markets going on in each month leading to October. We give the community about $10 to purchase fresh foods and produce. We also have CPR and our first aid courses going on. All are free. All those courses are free, so long as you register with us and it's in our location. I'll put my information in the chat if you have any more questions or would like to participate.
Also, Carlos, can you also ensure that you send the information to myself or the district manager at Community Board 17 as well, so people who ask, who do not have access to the chat right now can get that information?
Yes, I'll do that right away.
All right, thank you. Mr. Sword, I see your hand.
Am I recognized, Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Yes. Community Board 17 has an absolute right to do what it can to fight for the people who are in its district, specifically north of Linden and south of Clarkson. With regard to the jurisdiction issue, because it's a New York State project, Community Board 9 and Community Board 17 doesn't have any ULURP rights. But there is nothing stopping this community board from fighting by issuing a resolution saying that either we're for it or we're against it. There's nothing stopping this community board from looking at the secret effects, the environmental. There's nothing stopping it. I'm going to specifically reference section 197CM of the charter, which specifically says, if this was a ULURP, the fact that it's in one district physically has nothing to do with the fact that if it significantly affects the welfare of this district, if this was a ULURP matter, Community Board 17 can get involved with it if it was.
Okay, thank you for the comment. He's muted. Okay, he's muted.
Can I finish my comment without being muted?
You sure? I didn't know you were muted, sir.
Yeah, this happened to me last time. I believe that the district manager is cutting me off and muting me.
Please
So I
do
was
not do that,
asking-
Mr. Sword. Please
That's
do
the
not do that. Wait. Ms. Frazier, I got it.
Second time.
I got it. Mr. Sword, you're not going to be allowed to speak if you disparage my district manager. And second, my district manager does not have control of any computers in this room.
Well, whoever did that, this is the second
Okay,
time it happened.
I
It's a
think you,
pattern.
wait, before I move on, you do owe my district manager an apology because she did not do anything. She's doing something
What
else.
she did do is she stopped me from speaking
Again,
about this
Mr.
issue
Sorin.
in other meetings.
Mr.
Okay.
Sword, I am going to, Mr. Sword, I am the chair and I will mute you. I will mute you.
Okay, I'd like to finish my comment then.
Thank you.
10 seconds, I'd like to finish it.
And then you need to apologize to my district manager first. Before I continue.
Only if she apologizes for not allowing. the
Yeah,
community
Mr.
to see the
Sorin.
issues.
Oh, this is outrageous.
All right, move on.
I'm not going to apologize.
Mute, Ms. Montserrat, please mute him. Any other community comments?
Yes, I have a comment.
Pardon me?
This is Marguerite Villante, board member. I have a comment.
Go ahead, Ms.
I'm very upset by the way Mr. Sorid has been treated on both of these meetings, the last meeting and this meeting. I have never seen you ask anyone to apologize for anything. And I'm really disturbed by the treatment that he's being given. I'm not sure why it's happening. I'm not sure why it's happening, but everyone has a right to speak. So why can't he finish speaking? Why are you muting him?
Again, Mr. Sword, Mr. Daly, gave Mr. Sword last month, even with the opposition of the individual board members, the permission to speak because he has a right to speak.
You cut him off last time after 30
Did
seconds.
not, Ms. Viante.
Yes, you did.
Ms. Viante, I did not cut Mr. Sword off.
Yes, last
month,
week,
Ms.
excuse me,
Viante,
excuse
we're
me,
not
let
gonna
me
debate.
finish. No,
Ms.
last
Viante,
meeting, he was
Ms.
given a minute,
Viante,
and then he gave up his time, and then he was only given
Ms.
30 seconds.
Ms.
after
Viante,
that.
Ms. Viante.
This is absurd.
Wait, I'm sorry. But last month, Mr. Sword got up to speak. I asked him, will he yield his time? He yielded his time.
And then you only gave him 30 seconds.
I'm speaking. Let me finish. He yielded his time to another member who was speaking. After he yielded his time, I still turned around and gave him time to speak.
You only gave him 30 seconds. You
I
didn't give
gave
him the full
him
amount of
time
time.
to speak.
Yes, but you didn't give him the same amount of time that everyone else got. You only gave him
I
30
gave
seconds.
Mr. Sword 1 minute.
Not fair. This is not fair.
You cannot go back and forth. This is not a debate. Okay?
I just want it stated for the
This is
record
not
that
a
he's being
debate,
treated,
Ms.
I want it
Viante.
stated for the record that he's being treated unfairly. You
Ms.
haven't treated
Viante.
anyone else like this.
All right, Ms. Viante, if you're going to continue to debate, unfortunately, I'm going to have to stop you as well.
Sure, go ahead and you can, and that is exactly my point.
But you can't continue a conversation. You only. All right, let's move on. Yes. I just lost my train of thought. Sorry. I finished up agencies for the community session. We have. I'm sorry, I didn't hear. More hands. Agencies.
So you got another,
For the other agencies, Department of Health, I saw that.
you got Hazel Martinez with her hand up.
Ms. Martinez's hand came down. All right. Roll call, we did. Everyone, last month, there's a meeting that minutes for February the 13th. February's meeting, not the 13th, it was the 21st. Has everyone read the minutes? Are there any corrections to the minutes? On February, that was sent. Oh. It was sent out yesterday. Actually, I read it. Is anyone want to make a motion to move the minutes for February? Ms. Montserrat, can I get a second? June Prasad, second. All in favor of the minutes, accepting the minutes from February, please say aye. 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 All opposed, please say nay. All right, thank you. We have a few things to do. I'm gonna try to make them quick because we have two important presentations. All right, two very important presentations that we need to listen to quickly. Ms. Chair Prasad.
Good evening, everyone. Chair Prasad again, Commerce Chair. Can all the liquor license applicants please step forward? Liquor license applicants, please step forward. Time is of the essence.
Only one?
I think we have three. We had four at our meeting last night. Stand forward there.
Again, if you didn't hear properly, anybody for the liquor license, please step forward. We are trying to be more expeditious with how we're moving.
Okay, I'll start with Blaze Seafood and Chicken, located at 1714 Nostrand Avenue, Brooklyn, New York. This is for a full liquor license. And the police report states on 4/10/23, there was a complaint for disorderly person, and that status is closed. The Commerce Committee voted last night to approve this applicant. I'll open the floor for any quick questions. Where are you? Step forward so they can see who you are. Any questions for this applicant? Hearing none, we'll move to the next application. Nashlin Stewart, trade name Island Sea 4112, located at 4112 Avenue D, Brooklyn, New York. This is a full liquor license and they're requesting a temporary permit. There is no incident on the police report on this applicant. The Commerce Committee voted to approve this application. I will now open the floor for any quick questions. Hearing none, we'll move to the next application. You're having a good night tonight. What is your application again? Okay. Mr. Chair, Splash Event and Catering LLC asked to table their application, couldn't attend the meeting. South Beach Bar and Lounge by Terry and Kwame LLC, located at 4206 Church Avenue, Brooklyn, New York. This is for a wine, beer, and cider application. It's a new application as well. Police report, there is no incidents at this location at this time. The Commerce Committee voted to approve this application. I will open the floor for any quick questions. Hearing none, have a good night, guys. The board will send a letter to the SLA. Oh, do we have to vote?
Yes.
I'm sorry.
So, I just want to know, on all three, the board voted concurrent. I mean, the vote voted yes.
Yes, sir.
All right.
We had, I
The
think,
committee, the committee.
yes,
voted
we
yes.
have like one
I'm sorry,
extension.
could you
but-
just restate all three again? Yeah, I'm looking here.
So number one is
Yes.
Blaze. Number two is Nashlin Stewart or Island Sea 4112.
Yes.
And the third one is South Beach Bar and Lounge by Terry and Kwame LLC.
I don't, I see it.
It's number four.
Letta Campbell.
It's number 4 on the
Letta
agenda.
Campbell. Okay. All right.
Who's
So-
doing the road call?
Mr. Cunningham. The presenter, Miss Dr. Ferguson, where are you? Okay, Leona Morris, are you here? Okay. Okay, you're gonna come right after this, I just want you to move up.
All right,
So we're gonna vote all three, right?
Yes. Blaze Island and South Beach. All right, so Mr. Frey?
No, they're voting for all the three applications. So they'll say all three yes or all three no.
Does anyone?
Or abstention?
At this point, does anyone want to pull any of the three? No, if not, just vote yes one time for all three. Thank you. No, just how you vote, yes?
So if you agree, if you're voting yes for all three, let's stand and I'll just record your vote.
You have to call it in. You have to be verbal.
Oh, so Kwame Afraid?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, it has to be verbal on liquor license.
Antoinette Ballard?
Antoine Balat.
You got to say yes on all three.
Yes
No
for
one
all
else.
three.
Yes for all three.
Thank you.
Hassan is not here. Asher Cunningham, yes for all three. Mr. Daly?
Yes for all three.
Natalie Ferguson?
Think she left.
Natasha Duncan? Left as well. Dr. Galbraith? Thank you. Ms. Graham, Rose? Thank you. Ms. Granderson? Thank you. Mr. Lewis?
Yes to all three.
Thank you. Ms. Oni? Thank you. Ms. Prasad?
Yes to all three?
Thank you. Ms. Reed? Thank you. Ms. Smart?
Yes, to all three.
Thank you. Dr. Renault? Thank you. Mr. Tate? Thank you. Ms. Thomas left.
You guys.
And Ms. Welch? Thank you. And Mr. Westcott? He left. Thank you.
Okay, applicants, a letter of recommendation.
Miss Fields?
Oh, sorry.
Thank you.
Is there anybody else who did not vote that we might have missed?
Yeah, Ms. Brown? Is that Ms.
Where?
Brown?
Ms. Brown?
Ms. Brown, what's your vote? Thank you.
As a matter of fact, Miss, you did not vote on something earlier either, right? So. You did? Okay, okay, thank you, Ms.
So thank you applicants. A letter of recommendation will be sent to the SLA on your behalf. Thank you for coming. Appreciate it.
All right.
Go.
So we have two presentations, and these two presentations, ladies and gentlemen, are very important, very, very important. So I know that people are looking at time, but both of them are important. One is on sexual abuse, and one is also, the second one is on edifice, a building that's coming up within our community. So when you walk away, you might not be hearing what's happening. So I'm going to start with you guys first, and then Ms. Mars. You have to go? Do you mind if she goes before you guys? Okay, come, Ms. Mars. They said, okay.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for the committee, Chair Daly, for having me. My name is Leonie Morris. I represent a nonprofit called Stop Hiding, and we are engaged in creating awareness and the prevention for child sexual abuse. April is known as Sexual Assault Awareness Month, and we are engaging in some activities. One is called our Wellness Space that we have every Wednesday virtually, where we speak with some very courageous individuals who have experienced this adverse event of sexual abuse. We launched in last year in January, and we have had our quarterly events in April of last year, very successful. And I say successful because we had some very, again, I say courageous individuals who came out and spoke for the first time about sexual abuse that happened to them when they were younger. I'm so sorry, I do have to go. I will send my information to Chair Daly. We can be reached at info@stophiding.org. I will give you my phone number, which is 347-424-9972. We are looking to collaborate with various organizations. We are very much into providing those resources, having conversations within the community. Stop Hiding was formed by several individuals who are volunteers and advocates in the community. And we decided because they have experienced or know someone or families that have been affected by this adverse event. Chair Daley mentioned something earlier when we started this meeting, that all those who have been affected, they know their perpetrators. And he also elaborated that 60% it has risen, child sexual abuse or sexual abuse has risen since COVID. So we want to make those awareness and educate and encourage and empower those affected to speak out. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that info. So stophiding.org, Leonie? Stophiding.org to find out and participate. You're going to give your phone number, which you did. I don't know if you did.
www.stophidinginc.org, info@stophidinginc.org. And my number is, we are reachable at any time, 347-424-9972.
Thank you. Next. All right, please note, in essence of time, we have.
Yes.
All right.
Thank you
Short
very
for
much,
this
Chair
likely.
Daly. We're from Riseboro Community Partnership. Just trying to figure this out here. Okay, it's not working. Thomas had this set up. Hopefully we can get it to work.
Oni, well, I don't know if you can answer it, but.
People online can't see you. You got to share the content.
You got to share the content.
You got to share the content.
Oh, share it? Okay. I'll let you. Yep, you go back. Does this- Okay, so good evening, everyone. Thank you for staying with us. I'm Randall Teray from Riseboro Community Partnership. I'm joined by
I'm Nate with Riseboro.
Nate. And just to let everybody know, Riseboro is a nonprofit organization that has been around. We're celebrating our 50th year this year. And we were formerly known as Ridgewood Bushwick Senior Citizen Council. And our primary focus is affordable housing. And so what we want to do is present a project that is taking place in your district, in your community board, at 604 East 40th Street between Avenue D and Foster. And it is formerly the Bethany Church, is now going to be called Bethany Senior Terraces. And so I just want to give you a brief overview and update of what's going on, and just to let you know how long this project's going to take place and who is eligible for the project. So as soon as we get this set, we'll go. Is this PowerPoint working? Can you see it?
Yeah, I guess you should click on it.
Okay. Can I hit do slideshow?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, thank you. So this project is called Bethany Senior Terraces, and I'm just going to give you a quick overview, understanding how late it is right now. So this is the project site. This is like an overview of the area. You can see East 40th Street, and it's between, as I said earlier, Foster and Avenue D. Foster and Avenue D, yes. The formula, yes, let me go back. You have a question? Just a minute. Okay. Say it again? It's a senior facility. It's a senior apartments. So it's for seniors 62 and over. But yes, it's affordable. But we'll let. Yeah. So if you're 62, we'll talk about you applying for the building. So it's in the process of being built. It's a 40,000 square foot building. Will have 58 units of affordable senior housing age 62 and older for you. 39 units will be Section 8 subsidized. So the actual unit will be subsidized. So if you don't have Section 8, don't worry about it. If you are chosen for this apartment or this building, the unit itself will be subsidized. Then there will be 18 units for what they call ESHI. ESHI stands for Empire State Supported Housing Initiative, and it's for frail elderly. So if you have Medicare, if you have medical issues and you're older, above 62, you will be eligible for that unit. There are 45 studio. 62, 62. No. You got about 10 years ago, but don't worry about it. You're retired, but you're not old enough. 45 units of studio apartments and 12 one-bedroom units. And then there was one 3-bedroom unit for a living super, so there is a super on site at all time. All units are below 50% AMI. I know the community board understands 50% AMI, but this is like a super affordable housing, and the income is below 51,000, I'm sorry, 165 for a 3-person household. That's part of HUD and the city's regulations, but basically, bottom line is that it's an affordable housing unit for individuals in this community, and that's what our goal is, to create affordable housing.
So I have a question for you.
Yes, absolutely.
The 51,000, does that include, let's say you 62, you're collecting social security, is it pension or you get?
That's going to be based, it's going to be.
I guess I'll just repeat. Is this total income or pensionable income? What is it?
That's going to be, it's gross income. It's gross. So it's everything.
Everything.
Yes, everything. Yeah. And so.
Disqualifies.
You want to come up? Yeah, sure. Absolutely. This is, I'm going to introduce, this is Martha Macero. She is VP of Real Estate Development at Riseboro, so she knows this. Go ahead, Martha.
Sorry, just a quick clarification on the income. So all the units that have Section 8, the minimum income is 0 because Section 8 will cover the difference. So it will be 30% of your income, regardless of your income. What that income limit is telling you, the $50,000 and change, that is the maximum income. But unlike other lotteries, this does not have minimum income because we know seniors are on fixed income and are very, very low income. So your minimum income is actually 0. And there are people in our buildings who make $0 and get the apartment, and Section 8 covers the difference of the rent.
Thank you, Martha. Say it again. If you get Social Security, you should be eligible for the unit if you're Social Security eligible. And that's this is one of the purposes of this type of project is the Social Security. If you're Social Security eligible, you should be able to get this project. So that's why Martha just said you start at 0 and can go up to maximum 51,000. But we're going to move on a little so you can see more of the project. So. Yeah, I think that's the best thing is let's do the presentation and then we'll save the questions at the end. So this building is a different building than normal. It's a passive house design, which means that it has higher energy efficiency than most buildings. There's a thermal envelope, which is like the insulation is on the outside of the building. It's air sealed. It's energy recovery system. So you have these ventilated / heating units to enhance air quality. It's a modular building. And I think this is important that the point we want to make. This building is not being built from the ground up, but what's going to be happening is that this building is actually being built in a factory and the modulars are being brought to the site and then put together on the site, almost like a Lego set. And so that basically cuts the time of construction on that area in a short period of time. There's a photo, basically we have solar panels on the roof. And then this building the design of this building was so unique that NYSERDA gave it the Building of Excellence Award even before we built it. So I think this is a great building for the community, and we look forward to moving forward with this project. So these are some of the tenant amenities that we have. There will be parking, so that I know parking is an issue in the community. So there will be parking on the site for the staff and other people that would work there. There will be 2 elevators in the building. There'll be a laundry room. There'll be office space for supportive housing and property management. There'll be community room and pantry. There'll be a bike room and a greenhouse in this property. So I'm just going to show a couple of pictures of what it looks like. This is a terrace that's on the 4th floor terrace, that the picture to your left. And this building here is sort of like a garden green room. And then this right here is another terrace that we have. So we have multiple terraces outside. That's why we call this Bethany Senior Terraces, because we have multiple terraces and areas for people, for the seniors to sit outside to enjoy the neighborhood. One of the things that we're looking for is that the residents will have, like I said, Sunfield terracing structure on the south facade that loops down to a large common garden, which we showed earlier, and located right off the building lobby. And one of the things that we're encouraging is for the seniors to walk up and down the steps, because that's part of the wellness structure or concept that we have in this building. Of course, you'll have elevators for those who may be a little too frail, but we're going to encourage walking. That's one of the things that we have. Riseboro has many senior buildings, and one of the things that we found that has, been a boon for seniors is to encourage them to walk and be active in those buildings. So this picture was taken today, Nate?
Yep, today.
This picture was taken today. So at 604 East 40th Street, this is what the construction looks like right now, today. So basically, we've demolished the building that was there. We're basically creating, dug out, excavating the area, and then we're about to lay down the foundation. So this will take place till about, well, I got a timeline, so I don't have to guess. I can tell you right here. So the excavation foundation is going to be ongoing until late July. And then from July to September, there's be very little work because we're basically creating the modular units in the factory that we talked about. Then from September 23rd to about October 15th, the modular units will come from the factory and will be placed in the neighborhood and on an off-site location that, hopefully we can work with the local community board to minimize any sort of disruption in that area. Then this is the key thing here. Once we get the modular units in place, we will be able to put them together in a very short period of time, by May 2004. Now, anybody who knows anything about construction knows that it can take anywhere from 18 months to 2 years to do construction. Our goal is to do a very short timeline construction of about a year or so. And then we expect after we complete construction or complete the modular, putting the modular units together on the site, then we expect to have the leasing opening on August 2024. So that's the timeline. And I think that one of the key things is that, we are looking to do this with the help of the community board, with the help of our local city council member, Councilmember Farrah Lewis, and just having continuing conversations with you so that we can do it and make this the best possible project for the community and for the local residents. So at this point, I know it's late, so I sort of moved through a little quicker than I wanted to, but thank you. And is there any questions? Okay, I'll let the chair decide who speaks.
We start with Mr. Tate. Go ahead.
Okay, my name is Jennifer Cordes. I am here tonight specifically for this presentation.
Yes.
I happen to live on that block. My house is 621. Okay, my first question is this the original plan that was proposed to us pre-COVID?
Yes, it is. I don't think the plan has changed at all, no.
Okay, so as a result of that, here's my follow-up question. When the plan was presented to the community, there was a meeting with the community board at a church, and the plan was presented, the architects, everybody was there. We were concerned, we already have an issue with parking on the block because most of the houses have multiple cars. The question was asked, was there going to be accommodation for parking with a 58-unit building? If 20 of those apartment owners or residents own a car, what would happen? We were told, yes, there would be parking accommodations. Now that the building has started after COVID, now we're being told, and you did mention in your presentation that there will be parking, but what we were told And what I did, I went online and I printed out the plan at DOB. And all I am seeing is 9 parking spaces, which we were told were for not the residents, but for the people who work, for workers. So my question again, and the people on my block and the block above us wants to know, and we are concerned, where is the parking spaces that we were promised?
Yeah, so it's a great question, and it's a question we get a lot, as you can imagine. So there's a couple things. So as a baseline, this is a transit zone, which I know doesn't help your concern, but there is no code obligation to build any parking in affordable housing in New York City. And the reason the rule is phrased that way is because every inch we give up to parking is one fewer apartment of affordable housing we can build. So that's just the bottom line of what the regulation is. The fact that there are 8 parking spaces, I know doesn't sound like a lot, but for any affordable housing project, that is a lot of parking. The second thing I will say is that we have done studies on car home ownership among seniors, especially frail seniors, which is a decent chunk of this population, and car ownership rates are extremely low. So this building is not going to make parking any worse than it is right now, and I'm sure it's awful. But the population, if you think it's all singles, first of all, we're not talking about families. These are single, 62 and over, with a decent chunk of frail elderly folks. They are not driving. So this building per se is not going to make parking worse.
Okay, I find your response to be disingenuous because when the proposal was made to us, this is not what you said. Okay, when the question was asked about parking, what you're saying now, if that situation existed then, that's what you should have told us. Then we would not have had the expectation of parking. Okay, now you're telling us something different. Now, if the parking spaces are for the workers, why was it including in your presentation to say there's parking? Okay, I mean, come on, if you live there, would you feel that way by saying 58 units is not going to make a difference? Even if these seniors are single and they have visitors, where are they going to park? Where are they going to park? We already have an issue. And there's a 3-bedroom unit that, according to your plan, there's a 3-bedroom unit. Am I wrong? But there's 1 3-bedroom unit.
The 3-bedroom unit is for the superintendent.
Okay. I don't know.
All right, thank you. Could you just clarify who the parking spaces are for?
Wait, go ahead.
If I may I? So I'm Maria Vieira, I'm Vice President of Community Affairs at Riseboro. So I've been around a little longer than they have, and I've seen, we've built along the lines of now, is it 10 senior buildings?
Yeah,
10 senior buildings. And the experience that we've had is that we have built parking spaces for the residents. In the beginning, some of the spaces are used. As the tenants, the residents become older, a little more frailer, the spaces are no longer used. They are disoccupied. So what happens is that it's underutilized space. The majority of our senior buildings have parking lots that are empty, sitting empty with no cars using them. And then what happens is, and it's happened already, that we've had to entertain the thought of maybe what we should have done was built a bigger development rather than a smaller development with parking that becomes underutilized with time. So to answer, I'm sorry, I didn't get your name, the question about what happened originally. So there was a concern expressed by the residents of the staff members that were now coming in to take away spaces from the residents. So what was determined was that the spaces that were available were going to be awarded to the staff that are coming in. That way, they're not taking parking spaces away from the residents now. However, we are going to discuss this when we get back. If there is an opportunity to give up some of those spaces because the staff are not using them either, What we find is that a lot of the staff people don't drive either. And if there's the potential of giving those spaces to the residents because there is a need, we can talk about that. We can come back and talk about that the next time.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Tate and then Mr. Lewis.
Yes, good evening. Yeah, part of my question was really the same thing that I forgot, I don't know your name. Yes, she mentioned that the parking was one of the issues, because I don't live in that block, but I live in the neighborhood. I'm very familiar with the block. 8 parking spaces for the staff or whoever it is going to create an issue on the block. Because even if you bring visitors coming there, it's going to create a problem. And talking about that 62 years old people that may be that driving, I'm 70-year-old today, I'm driving, and I know a lot of 80-year-old that drive. So are you going to guarantee that the people who are moving in there will not be driving? I think that's impossible. The visitors who come there will be driving to visit their family. So it is going to create an issue. So I think you need, from what you mentioned in the previous presentation, there need to be some space created for visitors to come. Also, one thing that was unmentioned, and at the original presentation, we asked about the security. Was it going to be a security present at all time? And it was mentioned that it was going to be explored. There was no mention of security for the seniors who are going to be living there. So that's why one of my questions is there going to be a security guard and hand to protect those seniors that are coming in?
Okay, thank you. Let's start with the security question. So one of the things that we're doing for this particular, and the reason why we didn't mention is that we're looking into the funding for security. That's a critical question for us, and we are definitely working at to that point of getting funding for security, but we don't want to make a statement that, we said, well, there'll be security or might not be. So we're basically going to come back with additional updates on the project that will let you know if there's security and the level of security, because there'll be some sort of security, but we don't want to let you know that, speak to the level yet. So we'll be looking for additional funding, but we're going to come back. I hope you invite us back for additional updates, because as you can see, we're just right now a hole in the ground and we're still doing upgrades to the project.
Mr. Lewis?
So good afternoon or good evening to all. Again, good night. Again, one of the biggest issues, and I'm a big proponent for MBE concerns, right? You are building this in our community. Has there been any outreach to the community to find out who has the capability to be a vendor in terms of construction? RFPs, what RFP sent out? Is this project from HPD or is it from the state affordability, housing? ACR. Yeah. So this is one of my biggest concerns, that a lot of the people who come into our community to build these projects don't live in the community and they don't spend their money in our community. As the treasurer of this board, I am requesting that there be an outreach with the community to find out who has the capability, number one, for the modular, number two, who will be in terms of your MEP, mechanical, electrical, and plumbing. A lot of these modular projects, if you don't have the right people know how to connect these things, you will have an issue and a problem on your hands. So my biggest concern is how our community will gain in terms of jobs as well as procurement to continue to build our community and build our legacy.
Yeah, thank you. So yes, it's city funded. It's an HPD project, which means there's a MWB goal that we have to meet, and we can follow up with the exact dollar amount if you like after this. And you're absolutely right that this is a very complicated construction project, which means that you need very specific people on it. So we are in construction, which means that things like MEP have been selected and the building has been designed. We, again, have an MWB goal that we have to meet, and that is incorporated predominantly in how our general contractor hires his subcontractors. Rizzo. And there is also will be opportunity. So first of all, we can get with our construction team and figure out what hasn't been bought out yet, and what opportunities are still open so that we can make sure we get in touch with you about that. And then the other piece is that, like any affordable housing project, there will be permanent jobs on the back end when we open, in the sense of supers and porters, and in this case, social service staff as well. And so we will commit to coming back when we're starting to hire for those positions, because of course, we would love nothing more than to hire from the community for those positions.
I see you, Dr. Lewis. I have a very quick question. Oh, Mr. Tate, you had a follow-up? Well, it has to go around one time and then we come back to you. So let's, Dr. Lewis and then Ms. Granderson, and then we come back to you. Okay? My question is, I know you kind of said it, but I want to confirm. I know, because it is, when you come back to the conversation around parking and the $51,000 income total, right? Whatever, wherever the income come from, cannot exceed 51,000 and change. The 58 units, I know you said it, or maybe you didn't. How many of those units did you say would fall into that 51,000 or less? How many?
All of them.
All of them. All right. So that can affect parking as well. Because so I'm just wondering, because the higher up you go in the income, the more likely you might have a ride. So that's a question. And I heard you say that you're going to go back and revisit the numbers. So that's fine. Dr. Lewis.
That they're not for the people who live in the neighborhood and they can't afford them. And so we have individuals coming from elsewhere, as was mentioned, they're not contributing to the neighborhood, but they're benefiting from it. There's a senior housing on Albany right now where the majority of the individuals who live there do not live in this community, and they take up more than 85% of the housing there. When we were asked, why is that the case? They mentioned, well, some of the people who applied from this community, even though they're elderly, they have bad credit. So they're not allowed, or they were not eligible to get that housing. So how are we going to make sure that individuals in this particular community, at least to a certain extent, can benefit from the housing that's coming in here?
Yeah, it's a great question. So there's two things that I heard in what you said. The first is the income side of the equation, which in this specific project, the problem is never going to be that you make too much money, because you can make as little as zero. And Riseboro specifically does not screen for credit. So we will run your credit and we will run your criminal, not yours specifically, but applicants' credit and criminal background check. But we are actually legally not allowed to reject for bad credit alone. So that is just not going to happen. The second piece, in regards to how many folks from the community are going to get in, right? So there's a couple things about that. So unfortunately, Riseboro does not make the rules on marketing and lotteries because it's all standardized across the city. We follow guidelines from the Housing Development Corporation. So on normal affordable housing projects, there is at least currently a 50% preference for folks from the community board where the building is built. That preference does not apply to senior buildings. So any other affordable housing project you see going up, at least as of today, because they're arguing about changing the rule, but as of today, 50% of the units are set aside for people whose home address is within the community board. That is not the case for this specific project solely because it is a senior building, and 100% senior buildings do not have to meet a 50% community board requirement. In terms of maximizing the chances of folks from this community getting in through the lottery, Randall's team is doing it now on another project we have that is starting to lease up. It's also a senior building, and they have been flyering. We go out to the community board, of course, all the elected officials, all kinds of community stakeholders, and we make sure that we have flyers with all the information that is reaching the community at large, because the best way to get more people from the community into the building is to get as many people as possible from the community to apply. And what we also do, because it's a senior building and a lot of it is online, is we host workshops to help seniors apply, specifically seniors who might have trouble with applying online. So we will come in and we will do workshops and we will talk through it with folks so that we're making sure that they not only apply, but don't make any of the like kind of common mistakes that we see that get you immediately thrown out of the running, because there are some bureaucratic mistakes that folks make all the time that we know, because this is what we do. And so we try and come in and help folks from making those mistakes.
All right. I just want to make sure that people understand that, it is 10:04. Make sure that people understand that, right? It's not early. So think about that when if you want to email that question, email it to the board so that we can follow up. But if it's burning, Ms. Gordon, you're next. Oh, I'm sorry, Ms. Granson, I apologize. No, sorry, Ms. Granson is next.
As for the question that I wanted, the other part is, what is the application process? And if you only have 58 units, and let's say 120 people apply, how does those lucky 58 people get accepted into the program if you're not looking, you're going to do background checks and you're going to run credit history, but somehow I'm just trying to figure out how are those 58 people are going to be chosen without any biases on the background checks or the credit report?
Yeah, so that is my favorite and least favorite part of my job, because I get to make 58 people very happy and thousands of people very unhappy. So the way it works is it is truly built to prevent bias, and I'll explain how the system works. So the first thing that happens is everyone applies. You can apply by paper or online, and you will get the same chance no matter how you apply. Then you get a log number, which is completely randomized, and we don't do it. The city gives us a log with everyone's, if it's 10,000, 100,000, however many people apply, we get a list of everyone's name and their associated log number, which is completely random. That's why they call it a lottery. And then we start at the top and we go down the list one by one. And even I always tell people, you could have log number 9,000 and we might still get to you, because there are people who apply who make too much money who get immediately disqualified. There's all kinds of things that could happen. So we go down the list and the first 58 people who qualify get it. It's really that simple. And when we reject for reasons that are credit related, we get questioned on it by the city. So the city has to review every single file of every single applicant we are suggesting we move into this building, and they get to sign off. And this is part of my job, so I've done it myself. I get questioned on, why did you reject this person for credit? And I have to prove to them that it fits within very specific and very narrow reasons why I can reject. And usually it's like sex offender, felony, and having committed housing-specific fraud. Those are really the main three reasons you could get rejected on credit. And no student debt and no medical debt is allowed to count towards your credit negatively.
All right. So thank you, Mr. Tate, then Ms. Martinez, and then we're going to wrap up.
Yes, just wanted to be clear that I am not opposed to the project at all. I'm just concerned with the security of the people on the block and the seniors who will be living there. But without due respect, I am a bit disappointed to hear that the question about the security was raised, I believe, if I recall correctly, was about a year ago. And still, there's no answer. You're saying that you are considering are looking for funding for security, I think that should have been a top priority, especially when you have all the seniors living there. You said they will not be driving, okay? So that means they will be walking. I'm not saying that it's the worst neighborhood, but there's been issues in the neighborhood. So I'm really concerned with the fact that you are not, I feel like you're not taking the security seriously enough that a year later, you still don't know what you're going to be doing regarding securing our seniors. That's my concern.
Thank you, Mr. Tate. I don't want you to leave with the impression that we don't take security seriously, because we take security very seriously. The issue for us at Riseboro is that we're a nonprofit organization, and one of the things that we have to do is, as we factor in all the costs, one of the things that we're looking at is constantly, okay, what can be paid for with this project? We're looking for additional funding for security. We're reaching out to HPD. We're saying we need additional funding. We're reaching out to other entities to say we need additional funding for security. And that's something that we're pushing for. Okay, I don't want you to get the impression that we're not pushing for it. And I know you're saying, well, you should have that answer now, but right now we don't, but that doesn't mean we won't. And we're going to continue to push for additional security because we, like you said, it's important that we look after our seniors. And we have, Maria mentioned, we have over 10 senior projects with how many, about 1,000 units? Over 1,000 units of senior housing, many of which have security, many of which we take security very seriously. So we are a longstanding senior developer of senior housing. It's just that right now, I don't want to say to you, yes, there'll be security when it's not yet factored in. There will be some forms of security. And I just, like I said, I don't want to say exactly this is going to happen, but we're going to come back and we're going to continue. And your question is going to be at the forefront of our thoughts about security. And hopefully next time we come back or the time after that, we will say, yes, Mr. Tate, the funding came through, we have security. And this is the level of security we have. So that's our goal. I mean, you know, development is not a cookie cutter process. It's an iterative process. We keep constantly making it better. And that's what we're trying to do here.
Thank you, Ms. Martinez. You have the last.
Sorry, just to add real quick, what we can tell you is that there will be cameras all over the building and that there will be staff 9 to 5 because there's social service staff on site. So that is the minimum we can tell you, and we're working on getting a security guard for as many hours a day as we can make the budget work.
And the super.
And the super is on site as well.
Mrs. Martinez, online, you have the last question, unless you took your hand down.
Good evening. I just wanted to know who the intended partner is for the community facility space, and how do you manage to basically meet the MWBE guidelines when you're doing modular development offsite? So how does that work? Thank you.
I didn't quite get your question on the community facility space because there is no community facility space.
Oh, I thought there, well, at least in the early iterations in 2018, 2019, there was going to be a community facility space, and they were thinking about having a nonprofit occupy.
Oh, I'm sorry. I understand now. We have not identified a partner, so we can get back to you on that one. And then what was your second question about the modular?
Because you're doing modular development, which is offsite mostly, what is the process for how you meet the MWBE guidelines for trying to at least attempt to get local businesses to get those contracts?
Yeah, so the way the project is set up, it's 2 separate contracts, one for the modular and one for everything else, because just because it's modular doesn't mean that there's not a ton of other construction work going on site. So to give, we started work in September and modular hasn't even started yet, as you saw from the timeline. So there's a lot of trades on the job that are not modular related. And that contract has a specific MWBE goal, the one that is not modular, so that we can make sure we meet some of those goals in New York City.
All right, thank you. Thank you so much for your presentation.
Thank you very much.
I see some of the legislative individuals here. I see Dalton. Quickly, come forward, Dalton. Anybody else? You yield, thank you. As greetings from the Assembly Member Rodney Spashat. All right. Anybody online, please just raise your hand so I can see it. Although, yes, go ahead.
Dalton Robinson, Chandler Waterman's office, just for the record. Assembly member, well, the elected officials are still in Albany. They're still not yet come to a final decision on the budget. They have one sticking issue that I think they're holding out on, and that is bail reform. But as soon as they resolve that issue, then I think we will actually get a budget. The Assembly member had her Vital Voice meeting last week, was very well attended. We had a lot of stakeholders who came out to share with the community resources that they have available to them, so on and so forth. We have a shredding event coming up on April the 29th, right in front of our office, 903 Utica Avenue. It's between 11 and 2. So those in the community who has some documents that they need to shred can certainly come by and participate in that effort. Our office is located at 903 Utica Avenue between Church and Snyder. The number is 718-385-3336, 718-385-3336. Any issue that you have that we can assist with, please don't hesitate to call. Thank you very much. Have a blessed night.
Thank you so much. Any other? No, is that Raul from the 3rd Assembly District from, go ahead. Raul.
Sorry, am I up?
Yes.
Okay, hi everyone. Good evening. Thank you all for being here. Ramadan Mubarak for anybody who's celebrating. I hope everybody had a beautiful Passover and Easter as well. We had a great interfaith iftar last night, and we invite everyone I want to jump in and really invite everyone to our office anytime. We really want to use it as a community space. I know we're over a little bit to the north, and we're located at 249 Empire Boulevard. But we'd be glad for anyone to come use the space. We have people who do come in and do free after-school classes. It's free just as long as you're not using it for politics or for fundraising. So please come use our office. My email address, well, I'll just give my phone number. I put my email in the chat. My phone number is 718-771-3105, 718-771-3105. I know Juneteenth may seem a little bit far away, but we are working on, I think, an exciting new way of including East Flatbush and Flatbush and different neighborhoods in a celebration. We're going to be starting an event at the Flatbush African Burial Ground, and we'll be coordinating with the Lefferts Historic House. So they are finally recognizing that there were enslaved people who helped build that house and build Brooklyn, and we are working to recognize the full breadth of Brooklyn history on Juneteenth. It'd be great to get more community partners on that as well. I had some other things I want to say, but I do want to keep it short. There is redistricting. There is still a hearing coming up for redistricting. Still important. I know some people have mentioned some big projects, Kingsborough and Utica project. The Crescent project is not actually in the 43rd Assembly District, but it abuts it. So I still think it's important for people to speak up, and we would be more than glad to hear from everyone about their opinions, do our best to advocate for the constituents. It's a long night. Thank you all for being here. I appreciate your patience. Good night, everyone.
By the way, there's There are a couple of people who have come to Community Board 17 regarding the Kingsborough home that's building on Clark's Avenue. This falls in Assembly Members District. And I'm going to propose that your office or jointly with Senator Myrie, to look into having a community meeting regarding that house, because the Community Board 17, we're inundated with concerns for that district, and we're kind of like in a bind with addressing the issue. So I would really ask the Assembly members to the joint effort to deal with the Kingsborough issue that has come before the board for the last 5 months.
We actually have had some meetings, and like I said, I'll be more than glad. We will be more than glad to set up any opinions. There have been a variety of opinions too. So, I mean, we want to hear all of them and really represent the community. So be more than glad to help organize any sort of meeting.
If your office call, I'll get you in touch with somebody who's working on that issue. All right, is that your hand? I think that says Rochelle O'Neill.
Yes, good afternoon, well, good evening, everyone. So I'm with Congresswoman Yvette Clarke's office, and I've dropped the information I'm getting ready to share in brief in the chat earlier. So we have a 2023 Congressional Art Competition. Monday, May 24th is the submission deadline if any of the students have art. You can call our office at 718-287-1142 to get the parameters of the art and to get more information. I believe that we sent flyers for this to the Community Board 17. So if you guys can disseminate it for us as well, that would be awesome. Additionally, we have the Service Academy Night in collaboration with Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, Congresswoman Nydia Velasquez, and Congressman Dan Goldman for students who are interested in attending service academies. They can submit their information and go through the nomination process. That's going to be Monday, May 1st from 6 to 8 at St. Francis College. And the Eventbrite, our RSV, was dropped in the chat as well. And I believe we also sent that flyer to CB17. That's all that I have. Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right. All right. Moving up right along. Are there any committee report, any report from the board members? No? All right. Don't say yes. Oh, I thought you said yes. All right, unfinished business? Okay, I'm going to ask the treasurer to please send his report to the committee, to the general board, so not to leave him out. Any new business? Okay, adjournment. All right, good. All of us second? We're second in unison. All right. Berlette Antoine seconds. The motion was made by Gail Grandison and second by Berlette Antoine. Have a good evening, everyone. And what do you say? So enjoy El Id Qatar. All right.